but his efforts and his smile conveyed the love he felt for us as his counselors and for each of you in this great work.
President Oak says when he thinks of President Nelson now, he thinks of a servant of God and Jesus Christ, as well as a prophet of love.
I pray that we will always remember and be influenced by the great teachings and example of love from our prophet, President Russell M. Nelson.
Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories. The blame game is underway in the midst of the government shutdown. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt is pointing the finger at Democrats, saying the Republicans passed legislation to extend funding until November, but
nearly every single Democrat senator voted against this bill. To be clear, this was the exact same bill that Democrats approved 6 short months ago in March, just adjusted for inflation.
Meanwhile, Democrats are pointing the finger back at Republicans. Here's House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries on ABC News' Good Morning America.
Democrats are united in our resolve to make sure that we cancel the cuts, lower the costs, and save health care for the American people. We're in the midst of an incredible crisis, a health care crisis that Republicans have caused.
Vice President J.D. Vance says there are negotiations underway, and they are trying to get at least 5 people to flip their votes so they can get a spending bill passed. We will continue to have more reaction and impacts of the government shutdown throughout the afternoon, or you can always get the very latest at kslnewsradio.com. Other national stories KSL is following this hour. A lot of reaction is rolling in after President Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth addressed the nation's top military commanders yesterday. ABC's Martha Raddatz has more.
The speech sparking outrage among Democrats on Capitol Hill. Combat veteran Senator Tammy Duckworth in a post on X saying, if this deeply degrading, wasteful, and dangerous stunt proved anything, it's that the best Hegseth can do to strengthen our military is resign in disgrace immediately.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is also speaking out about it, saying the American people have rejected the deployment and occupation of American cities and towns and counties with American military troops. Students and community members gathered at Utah State University for the Turning Point USA event since the murder of Charlie Kirk. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
Crowds heard from Turning Point podcast host Alex Clark, Utah Representative Jason Chaffetz, and Governor Spencer Cox, who was first booed.
I had several speaking events that day, and we.
I'm gonna do the Charlie Kirk thing and say, guys, let's facilitate a conversation here.
The event was streamed on Rumble, and you can hear the moderator calm the crowd. Cox called the murder of Charlie Kirk an attack on free speech, America, and American ideals. By the end, the crowd was cheering him. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
A scare on Utah State University's campus yesterday. It turned out to be a wildlife collar rather than anything dangerous or explosive. USU police evacuated Old Main because of the device while they investigated it. Campus authorities say it was a collar used to track the location of wildlife that an employee had used to teach students about telemetry work. They detonated the collar to be safe and issued the all clear. The Utah Jazz have a new PA announcer for the first time in more than 40 years, and he's excited to get the Delta Center rocking. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
Mark Denman grew up in Texas, but he says he's watched the Jazz from afar over the years, and he loves the passion.
This is a fan base that is unlike any other.
He tells the Front Row podcast with Holly Rowe he's been a voice actor for the past couple of decades, also doing some PA work for the Atlanta Braves, the Harlem Globetrotters, and Auburn University.
When there's a great play, my job is to accentuate that on the floor with the style that I employ here. And so get ready for the Delta Center to be turned upside down.
And he says, yes, he's got some new catchphrases he's excited to try out when the Jazz hit the court this season. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic. Let's check in with Ricky Meese.
We do have a crash in Utah County. This is going to be at the ramp to southbound I-15 at Triumph Boulevard in Lehigh. All the vehicles are over to the right shoulder. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:05.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine. and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures, until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive, so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Thank you for joining us for Midday, recapping our top story. Leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints are remembering President Russell M. Nelson. They played a special tribute broadcast this morning honoring his life and legacy. KSL News Time 12:06. Fall is spider migration time, but one poisonous spider is showing up in northern Utah more than usual. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson has more.
We've definitely had a surge in calls about black widows.
Peak Pest Control Service Manager Kimball Pace says right now these spiders are pretty large because they've been eating all summer and preparing for winter. They're also looking for nesting places in debris, outside or inside. An American Fork man is recovering from a black widow bite, and his daughter, Cambry Vaughn, says she was surprised how much pain her father has been in.
They gave him 3 shots of morphine, and it still barely took the edge off of the pain that he was feeling.
Vaughn's father was bit after a black widow climbed into his shoe. She said he even shook the shoe out before putting it on, but it didn't shake the spider out. Britt Johnson, KSL News Radio.
The rain totals from yesterday were pretty impressive, and construction workers in Provo are working as fast as they can to enlarge a flood channel that diverts water from the Buckley Draw burn scar away from homes and other buildings. It was less than a month ago. A church building was flooded with water and mud rushing down the hillside. Public Works Director Gordon Haight tells KSL TV the new channel will be 20 feet deep and 10 feet wide.
We're very confident once we have this improvement done, which will take about 45 days, this channel, we will have the infrastructure necessary to handle the spring runoff quite easily, as well as any potential flooding.
The city is working with a developer to build that channel. Utah Senator John Curtis is part of a bipartisan effort to pass the Fix Our Forests Act aimed at helping prevent future wildfires. KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi has more.
The effort is supported by dozens of government and private sector leaders, including Governors Spencer Cox of Utah, Gavin Newsom of California, and Jared Polis of Colorado. The legislation works to combat catastrophic wildfires, restore forest ecosystems, and streamline forest management.
Proponents say the widespread bipartisan support is necessary because wildfires don't respect jurisdictional boundaries, and this act breaks down those barriers. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. What's going on, Ricky?
We do have this accident in Utah County at the ramp. Southbound I-15 at Triumph Boulevard in Lehigh, but it's out of traffic. It's not going to cause you any kind of slowdown. In fact, the main flow of your Valley freeways looking good at this time. Of course, you're going to see some construction delays southbound on Main Street SR 36 passing Erda in Tooele County, and that is due to road work. October 11th, Salt Lake City OtCon, a one-of-a-kind convention by and for autistic adults. Workshops, resources, and community. Get your tickets at otcon.org. Use promo code KSL free. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
For today, lots of sunshine starting off in the mid-50s this morning, but will warm quickly. Expect a high of 78 this afternoon. Then it's back down into the middle and upper 50s tomorrow, and the 80s return tomorrow with more sunshine. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kristen Van Dyke.
And a lot of sunshine in downtown Salt Lake City, but it's still cool, 69 degrees. And coming up on Midday with Maria Shilaos. IRS workers are getting more information about how they'll be impacted by the government shutdown. We will talk to the president of the union that represents Ogden's IRS workers. That's next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Hey guys, it's Woodrow from Mint Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED? Well, you are not alone, and now there's a real solution that treats the root cause, not just the symptoms. Introducing our trifecta approach, a breakthrough combination of acoustic wave therapy, hormone replacement, and cryotherapy, all designed to restore blood flow, boost performance, and rebalance your hormones. Whether it's ED or hormonal imbalance, if you're ready to reignite your love life, this treatment helps bring back your energy, your drive, and your confidence. And right now, when you call, you'll receive a free consultation, a blood flow ultrasound, and an intimacy gift. That's a $650 value, absolutely free. And here's the bonus. The next 20 callers will also receive a 5-night stay at a luxury resort in Hawaii just for taking the first step. But you must call now. With 2 convenient locations in Layton and Sandy, help is closer than you think. Call 801-804-8000 now. That's 801-804-8000. Mint Medical Clinic. We'll get you back to mint condition.
Jump on your brooms and fly to Logan for fantastic fall festivities. It's finally cooling off and we're so glad. Grab your flannel and celebrate harvest season in style, especially October 10th and 11th. Step back in time at the American West Heritage Center for their annual Fall Harvest Festival. See grain threshing with antique machinery, take a pony ride or train ride, and see cider pressing and corn shelling. Or check out the Rock and Gem Show with minerals and rocks and fossils. Oh my! Catch a live performance of the hilarious Broadway hit The Addams Family. Watch it inside the 1923 Ellen Eccles Theater, which really is haunted. Dive into a month full of hocus pocus and hair-raising hauntings on the historic downtown Logan Ghost Tour or at the Haunted River Trail. Traipse through 2 giant corn mazes, visit the North Logan Pumpkin Walk, or check out live theater and music performances and USU football games. Fall in love with fall in Logan. ExploreLogan.com/fall. ExploreLogan.com/fall.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie. Now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
KSL News Time 12:15. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
today, leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints paid tribute to the life of their late president, President Russell M. Nelson. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, authorities at USU now say the device that caused a bomb scare yesterday was actually a wildlife collar left there by an employee. It wasn't anything dangerous or explosive. Third, traffic and weather together, Ricky.
We do have an accident. This is in Lehigh, I-15 southbound at Triumph Boulevard. All vehicles on that ramp are out of traffic on the right shoulder. Your Salt Lake County freeway seeing good speeds and no problems. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A little bit of a chilly start this morning, starting off in the middle to upper 50s, but a nice afternoon in the upper 70s and sunny. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kristen Van Dyke.
Sunny, 69 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Lawmakers are not any closer to ending the federal government shutdown that began at midnight. The Senate failing to pass a stopgap measure again today in a vote. Democrats and Republicans continuing to blame each other at the same time, having to work together to find a funding fix. Some 750,000 government employees are furloughed. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has more on the impact.
Tens of thousands more federal workers who are deemed essential will be forced to keep working without pay. So think TSA agents, air traffic control workers, Border Patrol agents, plus some 2 million U.S. troops. Now, members of the military typically get paid on the 1st and 15th days of the month. So checks today have already been sent. Now they're at risk of missing that payday in 2 weeks. And of course, keep in mind, members of Congress do still get their paychecks during this time.
The last federal shutdown occurred during President Trump's first term, and it lasted for 35 days from December 2018 to 2019, making it the longest closure in U.S. history. Payroll processor ADP showing the economy lost 32,000 jobs last month instead of adding jobs like analysts expected. The government's September jobs report is due out tomorrow if the shutdown doesn't delay it. In New York City, after searching a pile of rubble today, authorities say no one was killed in a partial building collapse in the Bronx.
An explosion and partial collapse rocked a 17-story apartment building in New York City Wednesday morning, but Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson says,
"We avoided a major disaster here."
She says nobody was killed or hospitalized. Fire Commissioner Robert Tucker says of the suspected cause,
ventilation shaft connected to the boiler, which collapsed. We believe that's where the explosion occurred.
City inspectors are checking for structural integrity. Brian Clark, ABC News.
A frantic search in the Philippines underway following that earthquake yesterday. At least 69 are dead. You're listening to ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. The government shutdown means that many federal workers aren't working today, and still others have to work without pay for the time being. Joining me now live to talk about the impacts to IRS workers is Robert Lawrence, president of the National Treasury Employees Union, chapter that does represent the IRS workers in Ogden. Thank you for being with me today.
Thanks for having me.
So what does a government shutdown mean for you guys?
Well, usual here at the IRS, we are fully funded for the next 5 business days. And then after that, they'll decide who's going to be essential. And a good chunk of our people will be considered essential.
Okay, I understand that you received an email from leadership about what this means. What are you hearing from them?
Not much. They're not given us a lot of information, but that's what I just said is basically what has happened with every other shutdown.
So what's the mood like there for IRS workers that know that they're not going to be paid for a while?
Well, I think we're getting one more paycheck, and after that, it's going to be that's when we start worrying and wondering when we're going to get paid and how we're going to make our bills and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Robert, this isn't the first time that this has happened to you guys. So what happens when, you don't have, are there other resources available for folks?
I think the resources will start coming out. I know the banks, some banks here, some local credit unions and stuff will give us low interest rate loans, and many of our, landlords and stuff like that understand the situation. So there are some resources. There's not a whole lot, though.
Mm-hmm. So can you kind of describe what happened when this happened 7 years ago?
From what I remember, that was the first time that we really felt the effect of not having a paycheck. And so it was very frightening at the time. It was very frightening. And a lot of us were really had high anxiety, really.
Yeah. What are your concerns about morale and the future of employees at the IRS? Does this really make people not want to work for the IRS?
Well, from what's been going on in the past with the fork in the road email and then all the people taking all the buyouts and then having them start rehiring again, we're all just kind of confused and kind of just there's a big collective eye roll going on right now about how they're handling things.
Excuse me. How does this impact the actual work that needs to be done there?
So right now it's going full throttle, business as usual. But once we get down to the essential people, it's going to slow to a crawl.
All right.
So it will affect tax returns. It'll affect refunds, that kind of stuff.
Any final thoughts for us?
We're just here. We just want to do our job. You know, we can't go on strike or anything like that. We don't want to go on strike. It's against the law for us to go on strike. So we're just here telling them, you know, doing what we're told to do, and we'll do it, and we're going to do our best job.
Robert, appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
Live on the KSL Newsline, that is Robert Lawrence. He's the president of the union that represents the IRS workers in Ogden. Let's get you up to date with the drive, traffic, and weather. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Ricky Meese.
We've had an accident northbound I-215's west belt at the ramp to go eastbound to I-80. It is over to the right shoulder, but you still want to watch for that. An earlier crash being cleared in Summit County eastbound I-80. This is actually a vehicle fire. I stand corrected. It had been blocking a couple of right lanes, but it's way out there. It's past Echo, but I'm not seeing that it's causing any kind of delays. Salt Lake County freeways are actually seeing pretty good speeds. Our other problem is in Utah County, a crash over to the right shoulder. You can get by on the left. It's at the ramp, southbound I-15 at Triumph Boulevard. Your fall one-tank trip starts in Cedar City, Parowan, and Bryan Head. Scenic byways and highways, live theater, mountain biking, ATVing, vibrant art, and downtown eateries. Visit cedarcity.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Your KSL 7-day forecast showing for today a high of 78 degrees, lots of sunshine, up to 81 and sunny for Thursday, then more changes by Friday. We'll have mostly cloudy skies, highs back to the mid-70s, a slight chance for showers, and then a wet start to the weekend, mid-60s with more showers around on Saturday, and then highs again only in the mid-60s Sunday with partly cloudy skies. We'll keep those highs in the mid to upper 60s through early next week. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kristen Van Dyke.
Well, enjoy this beautiful weather now. Nice and sunny, 70 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. And a quick check of the markets. They are in positive territory. We'll get a complete update coming up next.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today. 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227. Or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
J&J Garden Center is your fall headquarters. Now through November 1st, save 20% on perennials, shrubs, containerized trees, soils, fountains, and more. You'll also find clearance trees up to 50% off. Fall is the perfect time to plant pansies, mums, and fall bulbs. Don't forget pumpkins, gourds, straw bales, and corn stalks. Plus, explore our gift shop for cozy fall decor and seasonal finds. Hurry and visit us in Layton today, and let's get your garden fall ready. J&J Garden Center, where fall begins.
Plan your escape to the Overlook Hotel. Enjoy crisp mountain air, breathtaking views, and peace and quiet. Maybe too quiet? Based on Stephen King's thrilling novel, The Shining, Jack Torrance's descent into madness at the Overlook Hotel comes to life on stage. Just in time for Halloween, October 11th to 19th at the Haunted Capitol Theater. Tickets start at $26 at utahopera.org/redrum.
KSL News Time 1225. After months of feuding with Harvard, the Trump administration now says it's close to reaching a deal with the university that could also address the nation's shortage of blue-collar workers.
As part of the settlement, Harvard would reportedly pay $500 million while agreeing to operate trade schools in return for getting its federal grants restored. The tentative deal comes as the CEO of Ford, Jim Farley, warns the U.S. is far behind rivals like China and Japan in the blue-collar industry, making the U.S. less competitive.
That is ABC's Morgan Norwood reporting. Watching Utah's money, the FTC is suing Zillow and Redfin, saying the two have an unlawful agreement. The complaint says Zillow agreed to pay Redfin $100 million to remove them as a competitor in the multifamily rental advertising market. Starbucks is closing 1% of its stores in North America. That's more than 18,000. 6 of those are here in Utah. Locations in Clearfield, Logan, Provo, Riverton, South Jordan, and West Jordan will close their doors by June of next year. Coffee is just getting more expensive. Axios reports that here in Utah, the price for a regular cup of coffee is $3.50. That's 7.7%. That's up 7.7% from last year. The largest increase is in Missouri, where a cup is 11% higher than last year. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 62 points, sitting at 46,460. S&P 500 up by 25, and the NASDAQ up by 105 points. That's about 0.5%. Another sign of a weakening employment market, ABC's Jim Ryan says the economy has been shedding, not creating jobs.
Analysts were anticipating 48,000 positions to have been added to private sector payrolls in September, but payroll processor ADP says the economy actually lost 32,000 jobs last month. The Bureau of Labor Statistics monthly jobs report is due out Friday. It might not be issued at all because of the government shutdown.
Yeah, because of that shutdown, the Federal Reserve may have to get their information about the labor market from other sources when they meet later this month.
Donate your car to Charity Hotline. This is Roger.
Hi, Roger, I'd like to donate my car.
Yeah, good. Leave the keys in it, park it on the street, and we'll send a thug. Tow.
Where's your office?
In New Jersey. Where do you want it to be?
Well, Roger,
yeah.
I want to make sure my donation helps Utah kidney patients.
It will.
Which ones?
Well, does it matter?
Yes, I want the money to stay in Utah.
Then, boy, have you got the wrong number.
If you want your car donation to help people here in Utah, turn your car into a kidney car for the National Kidney Foundation of Utah and Idaho. Hi, this is Luz Lewis Perez. Kidney Cars is the Beehive State's #1 choice for charity car donation since 1990. When you donate your car to Kidney Cars, funding stays in Utah to help local Utah kidney patients and funds local medical research. Kidney Cars gets donors the highest tax deduction, along with free towing. Visit towcars.org and learn more. That's Tow Cars with a K, like kidney. That's TOWKARS.org.
Join the KSL Movie Show this Friday at Advanced Window Products from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tune in for a show special for KSL listeners from Advanced Window Products. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Ricky Meese. Okay, Ricky, I'm not hearing Ricky. Let's check the forecast and come back to Ricky in a second.
For today, we'll see lots of sunshine. It's a really nice looking afternoon with highs in the upper 70s, but this morning, be prepared, it's a little chilly. Temperatures starting off in the 50s, so make sure you have an extra layer with you today. Then for tonight, mainly clear, down into the mid 50s, and then we're back to the low 80s tomorrow. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kristen Van Dyke.
And right now, it's sunny and 70 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon, KSL News Time 1230. KSL's top story this hour is national news. The federal government is officially in a shutdown, and Utah's congressional delegation is weighing in. We begin our team coverage live with KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera. Eric?
Maria Congressman Blake Moore calls the shutdown squarely on the Democrats' shoulders, saying House Republicans passed what he described as a clean continuing resolution. He says the closure is especially damaging for his first district, home to one of the largest federal workforces in Utah. Congresswoman Celeste Malloy echoed that, calling the shutdown unnecessary and purely political. She says Senate Democrats are using it as leverage for more spending, despite the House approving a 7-week extension. And later today, Utah Congressman Mike Kennedy will host a media availability at the state capitol to discuss the shutdown's impacts. That's scheduled for 1:30 on the South Steps. Live, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
The two parties are at odds over health care funding. Democrats want to negotiate on extending Affordable Care Act subsidies and reversing Medicaid cuts. Republicans have also been repeating a claim that Democrats want to give health care to undocumented immigrants. But Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer on the floor of the Senate says that's against the law.
Not $1 of Medicare, Medicaid, or ACA is allowed to go to undocumented immigrants, not a dollar. So why do they keep saying this? This seems to be their theme, because they're afraid to talk about the real issue. It's typical Republican response.
Schumer also says that when he was majority leader, they never had one shutdown in 4 years because they worked with their Republican colleagues to find a way to keep the government funded. The money in that spending bill goes to food and family programs like SNAP and WIC, which could be affected by the shutdown. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla has more.
It's hectic in D.C., but here in Utah, it's business as usual. Utah WIC vendor manager Jodell Geilman Park says thousands of transactions have already gone through today, and they will continue to for the time being. It's thanks to a statewide collaborative process.
We're working closely with all of our stakeholders, with the Department of Health and Human Services, with state finance, with USDA to secure funding to allow WIC participants to redeem benefits as long as possible and hopefully indefinitely.
Geilman Park says there's no need to panic at this time. Clinics are still open and benefits are still being issued. SNAP has also issued a statement saying it doesn't anticipate any immediate impacts. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
The government shutdown is impacting services at Hill Air Force Base as well. While airmen will still work on essential military operations, they will not be paid during the shutdown. Civilian workers who are considered non-exempt will be furloughed. Essential services like child care and the legal office will stay open, but amenities like the fitness centers and the library will be closed. TSA agents are also among those working without pay. You should still see them, though, screening passengers today.
I'm Jonathan O'Brien in Atlanta. TSA agents are among the essential workers who have to do their jobs without collecting a paycheck during a shutdown. Aaron Barker, president of the union that represents the agency's Georgia employees, says during a 35-day shutdown in 2019, some agents went through a serious financial strain.
It was horrible. We had officers sleeping in their cars, having to go to food banks. Some of them even tried to get government assistance, food stamps and unemployment because there was no money coming in.
He hopes this shutdown won't last that long. Jonathan O'Brien, ABC News, Atlanta.
Other national stories KSL is following this hour. We are now hearing more about the heroes who were at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Meeting House in Michigan when a shooter opened fire on the congregation. One of the injured, Greg Mykett, is in the ICU recovering from 3 gunshot wounds. His sister, Allison Ensign, told ABC News that Greg actually confronted the shooter to help save lives.
Most people ran away from the danger. Greg ran toward it in an effort to help protect those that were there.
She says they are so proud of him and they're hoping and praying he will get through this. 4 people have died and 8 people, including Mykett, were hurt in the incident. Utahns have less than a week to weigh in on 6 proposed congressional maps. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff has the story.
To help people with the proposed maps, Better Utah Institute has posted their evaluations.
Our scoring focused on 5 key areas. First, simple number count of how many county and cities are split. And the next 3 points we focused on were compactness, competitiveness, and proportionality.
Better Utah Institute Executive Director Taylor Knuth says they have not ranked the maps because they want people to decide for themselves which map makes the most sense to them. Lawmakers were forced to redraw the maps after a judge ruled the current map violates a voter initiative from 2018. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Olympic sponsorships may be changing for Utah's 2034 Winter Games. The International Olympic Committee's Commercial Partnerships and Marketing Working Group is looking at adding new sponsor categories for the Summer and Winter Games. Utah Winter Games organizers will be able to start selling domestic sponsorships in 2029. They say they need both international and domestic sponsors in order to fund the 2034 Olympics without using tax money. First look traffic. What's happening, Ricky?
Well, Maria, we do have a crash, an emergency crews on the scene, blocking a right lane of traffic. This is westbound I-80 at the ramp to I-215's westbelt with that right lane blocked. We're not seeing any big backups yet, but be prepared to merge. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:35.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top stories, some federal services here in Utah will be impacted by the government shutdown, including things that are considered non-essential at Hill Air Force Base. KSL News Time, 1238. Utah County is making some changes to their winter response plan, lessening the number of days that their warming centers will be open, but providing more services to those experiencing homelessness. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
One of the biggest changes to the plan is reducing the length of time their warming centers are open by a little over a month. They're also consolidating from 3 locations to 1, the Red Building located on 2855 South State Street. But services are expanding. Employee support, job training, and access to sobriety and mental health care programs will be available. Commission Chair Brandon Gordon says they're working hard to build a compassionate and effective program to meet needs, encourage healing, and support self-sufficiency. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Bountiful residents are being warned of a water outage scheduled for tomorrow from 8 in the morning until noon. City representatives say they'll be shutting off the main water line in the area around 200 West and 400 South. Now, if people have questions, they should call the Bountiful Water Department. A Utah conservation group is raising funds to help the wildlife habitats burned by the Monroe Canyon fire this summer. Greg Sheehan, president and CEO of the Mule Deer Foundation, says recovery efforts don't just help the animals and other wildlife in the area, but they do help other wildlife in the area as well.
I think it's important for folks to understand that much of these landscapes are very valuable to our communities and our public, and that they rely on them for wildlife, for recreation, for camping.
Sheehan says they've already raised $50,000 and will match all contributions. For more information on recovery efforts or where to make a donation, you can visit muledeer.org. Tomorrow night, Make-A-Wish of Utah will celebrate 40 years of granting wishes to children by celebrating a 10-year-old girl in Sandy. Putting on a fashion show for Paisley will mark 5,000 wishes granted by the Make-A-Wish of Utah. The show will feature Paisley and her best friend walking the runway in custom dresses, helping fulfill her dream of designing and starring in her very own show. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Ricky Meese.
Right lane blocked with a crash. This is westbound I-80 at the I-215 junction. The I-215 West Belt, to clarify. You will see with that right lane blocked off to traffic, emergency crews are on the scene, but you have plenty of room to get around it, and it is not causing any delay. In fact, right now we're looking at a delay-free drive on all of your Salt Lake County freeways. I-15 seeing a good commute north and southbound between Hill Air Force Base and BYU. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's going to be a beautiful day today. Lots of sunshine drying out from the storm yesterday. We'll start off in the mid-50s, so a little chilly this morning, and expect a high of 78 this afternoon. More sunshine and low 80s tomorrow. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kristen Van Dyke.
And a lot of sunshine in downtown Salt Lake City and 70 degrees. Coming up on Midday, Utah's national parks will stay open during the government shutdown, but with some changes. We'll talk to the Utah Office of Tourism about it. That's coming up, streaming live at kslnewsradio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The power of we believes in you. It advocates for you. It completes your circle. It makes sure you have the strongest circle possible. And with Intermountain Health in yours, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind, to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. The other night, I had the chance to see a brand new play at Hale Center Theater, and it's the musical comedy Murders of 1940. And I'm just going to read what I wrote to Sally Dietlein right after I got out to my truck. I just had to let her know how much I enjoyed it, and I said, a black and white screwball film noir comedy complete with Nazis you have outdone yourself. This is so unique. The entire play, save only one character, is in black and white. Sally wrote back and said, yeah, I think it's the first time we've ever done, and she used this term, grayscape. It is so unique. You are going to love it. And then just down the hall, Sister Act is showing, and all kinds of wonderful performances still to come, like Frozen. We've already got our tickets for our grandkids. Go to hct.org or get your tickets at the box office. And don't forget, get your 2026 season tickets.
KSL News Time 1245. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
Utah SNAP and WIC programs are not anticipating any immediate impacts from the government shutdown, telling recipients there's no need to panic right now. I'm KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla.
Second, Utah's congressional delegation is calling the government shutdown highly political. They say it's damaging for the federal workers in their districts. Third, traffic and weather together, Ricky.
Emergency crews still at the scene of this crash, westbound I-80 at the I-215 junction of I-215's West Belt. That right lane is still blocked. We're not seeing any delays on any of your Valley freeways at this time. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures on the chilly side this morning, starting off in the 50s, but will end in the upper 70s. A beautiful day. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kristen Van Dyke.
Sunny, 70 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Attempts to end the government shutdown failing again today in the Senate. 750,000 federal workers are furloughed. Essential employees are working without pay. Vice President J.D. Vance at today's White House briefing blaming Democrats for the shutdown and threatening layoffs could be next.
If this thing drags on for another few days or, God forbid, another few weeks, we are going to have to lay people off. We're going to have to save money in some places so that essential services don't get turned off in other places. That is the reality of the government shutdown.
Democrats say they're fighting for health care benefits, including Medicaid. German police say they've conducted a security sweep at the Oktoberfest fairgrounds in Munich after an earlier bomb threat nearby the famed festival. It's since been reopened. Police say the suspect was located and it appears he took his own life. Word today that Jane Goodall has died. The institute in her name announcing the famed primatologist and anthropologist passed away. Goodall is credited with dramatic changes in research of chimpanzees. She was 91. This is ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. Even though the government is shut down and federal services across the country are impacted, Utah's national parks will stay open. But it's because of the extra efforts from people here at the state level. Joining me now live to talk about it is Anna Lockridge with the Utah Office of Tourism. And thank you so much for being with me. And tell us, how are we able to keep the national parks open?
Hi, Maria. Thanks for having me. Well, the state is engaged in proactive conversations with public and private partners at all levels. That includes with our park superintendents, right? And we are offering strategic support to ensure that the parks remain open with the necessary resources.
Yeah, so what differences should visitors expect during this time?
That's a great question. So currently, based on funding that the federal government is able to provide, and where we've ended up, federal dollars will fund resources including the shuttles at Zion and Bryce, right? Custodial services. So those are the basic things like trash pickup, bathrooms, emergency service, and law enforcement. So visitors will still have a great experience and can still expect to have access to that awe-inspiring adventure, but there will be reduced services, and we're still sorting what that ultimately looks like.
Right. With the state stepping up to help in this case, does this mean that state services will be impacted?
No, not at all. Utah's state parks, we have 46 incredible state parks, all remain open and fully operational, and no other state services are impacted. But we are absolutely all coming to the table to be a part of the solution and to ensure that we are shaping a Utah that lasts.
Yeah, Anna, I'm just wondering, you may not even know this, but are there any other states that do this? They step up to keep their national parks open?
You know, we have been so focused on just making sure that we are supporting Utah, but we have heard of other states that do this. I think, you know, when you look at ultimately the economic impact that national parks bring into states, especially Utah, right? National parks contributed more than $3.1 billion into the Utah economy because of visitors who are staying at hotels, eating at restaurants, shopping at our stores. So it is worth investing in making sure that Utah's national parks are open and operational.
Appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with me.
Thank you, Maria.
Live on the KSL Newsline, that is Anna Lockridge with the Utah Office of Tourism. Traffic and weather is brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
A new crash. This is down in Draper, but the vehicles are already out of traffic. Look for this westbound Bangerter Highway at 100 West. It's going to be just after the I-15 junction. Again, not causing any kind of backup or delay. And the right lane is still blocked with the accident that we have westbound I-80 at I-215's West Belt. With that right lane blocked, you still have plenty of room to get around the crash without it interfering with your travel times. Where you will see some delays, and it's due to road work, and Utah County drivers, you know to kind of expect this. It's either direction of Pioneer Crossing coming into about 8th East, 3rd East. Expect backup in both of those directions, again, due to construction. Common Spirit Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Your KSL 7-day forecast showing we're drying out for a couple of days. Sunny and 78 today. Tomorrow, sunshine, 81 degrees. For your Friday, 75, mostly cloudy. Chance for showers starting to go up. On Saturday, more rain and highs in the mid-60s. 65, partly cloudy Sunday. Then mid to upper 60s Monday, Tuesday with lows in the upper 40s. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kristen Van Dyke.
Right now, sunny and 72 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. The 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Quick check of the markets. Boy, they're doing really well at this hour. The Dow and the NASDAQ both up by more than 100 points. A complete update of your money news is coming up next. Are you getting excited that the holidays are coming up pretty quickly here, but you're not so excited because your family members are coming and your house feels a bit dated? Hey, if you've been thinking about replacing your windows or your doors, I have to tell you, you owe it to yourself to go into Peach Doors and Windows. They have a great showroom, and you really need to take a look at how they can really change the feel of your home. If you have a home that's built in the 60s and you have very small windows, they can put in some beautiful, larger windows that are more contemporary. They even have European-style windows that tilt and turn, just so very unique for American homes. Just a wide range of products to choose from. Now, Peach, what really makes them different is their customer service. When you go in there, you sit down with them, you talk about what you need to do, what you're looking for, and what kind of door, for example, that you'd like. And you actually get to touch the doors. You get those sliding doors. You know how you can tell a high-quality sliding door when it just glides so smoothly. So you owe it to yourself to go into their showroom. And with the temperatures changing, you definitely want the latest and greatest doors. So add that $1 million feeling to your home, that feeling you deserve, because most homes are worth more than $1 million now. Visit peachdoorsandwindows.com or peachbuildingproducts.com, or you can call them today, 801-566-1255, or visit their convenient showroom in Salt Lake.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that, and third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
This March, Wendy's is fueling the madness with amazing deals on their hamburgers made with fresh, never frozen beef.
Like a juicy Dave's single for $1 and a fresh $2 Dave's double with in-app offer.
It's such a good deal, we wrote a little ditty about it.
Get it for $1. Dave's single, order in the app. Dave's single, get it for $1. Choose wisely, choose Wendy's, official hamburger March Madness.
Limited time offer. Participating U.S. Wendy's. See offer details and redeem at Wendy's app. Account registration required. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Alaska.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Watching Utah's money, more people are taking on debt for their pets. MetLife Pet Insurance says 1 in 5 pet owners have at least $2,000 in pet debt. 1 in 7 experience pet poverty, struggling to meet their own needs while also caring for a pet. Target is set to open 7 new stores this month across the U.S. Those are just a few of the more than 20 stores announced in the past few years. We don't know when, but at least 3 of them will be in Utah in Harriman, Lehigh, and Logan. DoorDash is adding some more features to the app. It will now offer restaurant reservations and robot deliveries in some areas of the U.S. It's busier than ever, with orders jumping 20% to $761 million in the second quarter of this year. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is now up by more than 100 points, nearly 0.25%, sitting at 46,498. S&P up by 27 points, and the NASDAQ up by nearly 0.5%, up 109 points.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
The small accident we had in Draper at Bangerter Highway just after I-15 has cleared. Really didn't cause a problem. However, we still have a right lane blocked with crews still on the scene of the crash westbound I-80 at I-215's West Belt. Again, the right lane blocked to traffic. However, we're not seeing any kind of backups. Titanic, the exhibition, opens October 17th at the shops at Southtown. Step aboard to experience full-scale recreations, see artifacts, and hear real passenger stories. Don't miss it. Book passage today at titanicexhibition.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high today of 78, and it looks like our chance of rain returns on Friday. 70 degrees right now downtown.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
It's now official. The federal government closed for business. Today, finger pointing from both Democrats and Republicans, each blaming each other for the funding shortfall. The fate of essential government services and the future of government employment all up in the air.
Because we are in a government shutdown, we are going to have to lay some people off if the shutdown continues. We don't like that. We don't necessarily want to do it, but we're going to do what we have to keep the American people's essential services continuing to run.
The time is 1 o'clock on Wednesday, October 1st. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, a reaction from Utah's congressional delegation as they try to push for a bipartisan continuing resolution. Also this hour,
things are okay for now for people who already are participating in the WIC program.
A closer look at the effect this shutdown is having on Utahns who receive federal benefits. But first, our top stories. This morning, leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints paid tribute to the life of the late church president, President Russell M. Nelson. President Dallin H. Oaks of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles remembered visiting President Nelson 2 days before he died with President Henry B. Eyring.
He smiled and tried hard to communicate with us. Words were difficult, but his efforts and his smile conveyed the love he felt for us as his counselors and for each of you in this great work.
President Oaks says when he thinks of President Nelson, he thinks of a servant of God and a prophet of love. The Utah Department of Natural Resources is now trying to find out who cut down a non-permitted flagpole on Black Rock. Details from KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff.
The pole and an American flag first appeared on the landmark near the southern edge of the Great Salt Lake a couple of weeks ago. A statement from the DNR says the flag's placement generated strong opinions, but that damaging property only deepens division rather than promoting understanding.
Our top national story from ABC News, the government is officially shut down. Both Republican and Democratically backed funding proposals have failed to pass the Senate. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt took a moment to speak about this during her briefing today.
Democrats need to stop sabotaging our country and holding the American people hostage in the country. Democrats need to do their jobs.
Vice President J.D. Vance joined Leavitt in today's press briefing. We'll hear more from him in just a few minutes. Portland, Oregon is on edge today as federal National Guard troops train for deployment.
Outside of the ICE building in South Portland, federal agents fired off pepper balls from the building's roof and agents arrested at least 4 people. It was a fourth night of protests after President Trump announced on Truth Social that troops would be sent in and called Portland war-ravaged. Before that, Portland police say protests had been relatively calm for months. By late in the evening on Tuesday, only a few protesters remained outside of the ICE building. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 111 points, about 0.25%, sitting at 46,508. S&P 500 up by 27 points, and the NASDAQ up by 109 points. Traffic and weather brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We still have a right lane blocked with this crash westbound I-80 at I-215's West Belt. Even though there is a lane blocked, traffic getting around it just fine with no delay. Advanced Window Products offers Graber window coverings, high-end quality with the best warranty. Save 30% off when you mention KSL. AdvancedWindows.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high today of 78, climbing to 81 for a high tomorrow. Both days dry with a 30% chance of showers coming back on Friday. 70 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
Jump on your brooms and fly to Logan for fantastic fall festivities. It's finally cooling off, and we're so glad. Grab your flannel and celebrate harvest season in style, especially October 10th and 11th. Step back in time at the American West Heritage Center for their annual Fall Harvest Festival. See grain threshing with antique machinery, take a pony ride or train ride, and see cider pressing and corn shelling. Or check out the Rock and Gem Show with minerals and rocks and fossils. Oh my! Catch a live performance of the hilarious Broadway hit The Addams Family. Watch it inside the 1923 Ellen Eccles Theater, which really is haunted. Dive into a month full of hocus pocus and hair-raising hauntings on the historic downtown Logan Ghost Tour or at the Haunted River Trail. Traipse through 2 giant corn mazes, visit the North Logan Pumpkin Walk, or check out live theater and music performances and USU football games. Fall in love with fall in Logan. ExploreLogan.com/fall. ExploreLogan.com/fall.
The federal government now shut down for the first time in almost 7 years. It means thousands of federal workers won't get paid. And the White House still says some of those employees could lose their jobs for good. Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Let's begin our special coverage with a quick update from News Nation's Tom Dempsey.
No tours will be given at places like the Washington Monument due to this new government shutdown. But let's be very clear, this stretches well beyond tourism, with President Donald Trump already saying that big layoffs could happen during this government shutdown, as well as, quote, irreversible cuts to some programs. This government shutdown went into effect at midnight after 2 separate plans to keep the government open failed to get enough support. Both sides now blame the other for the shutdown.
We need to deal with this health care crisis now, not later. But the Republican bill fails to do that. I urge my Republican colleagues instead to join with us, work in good faith to keep the government open, keep costs down. This is a totally partisan bill.
Right now, there's no negotiation. It's a shakedown. The Democrats have asked for $1 trillion of additional spending, and they want it all for just a 4-week opening of the government. That's absolutely ludicrous.
This comes after President Trump hosted top congressional leaders from both sides earlier this week at the White House. Inside the Oval Office on Tuesday, the president once again spoke about what could happen.
Well, the Democrats want to shut it down, so when you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and the Democrats, they're going to be Democrats.
And as far as what today holds, we expect the Republicans and Democrats to hold press conferences, likely blaming the other side for this shutdown.
Republicans blaming the government shutdown on Democrats' refusal to pass a clean spending bill. This morning, Congresswoman Celeste Malloy issued a statement saying the continuing resolution passed in the House would have kept the government open for another 7 weeks, maintaining the same funding levels Democrats supported this year and last year. She said the responsibility for the shutdown lies with Senate Democrats, who chose to use the continuing resolution as leverage to push for trillions in new spending. Representative Malloy saying the shutdown is not principled and that it is purely political. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt sharing similar thoughts.
But nearly every single Democrat senator voted against this bill. To be clear, this was the exact same bill that Democrats approved 6 short months ago in March, just adjusted for inflation.
Let's now bring in Congressman Mike Kennedy. He joins me live on Midday. Congressman, thanks for being with me this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Maria.
First of all, do Democrats want to shut down the government?
Well, I think all of us should not want to shut down the government. The American people expect us to do our job. And who wants to do what with this shutdown? I think both sides have and can use this as a weapon. I think it's entirely inappropriate. The American people expect it better from us, and they should. So when it comes to this, that's why we passed, as Congresswoman Malloy appropriately stated, we passed a clean continuing resolution. There were no deep policies in this. There's no poison pills. There's no discussion of complicated issues. It's just let's keep funding of the current levels of government for the next 45 days so that we can actually have these negotiations where they should be had. And that's in Congress and committees and having the policy debates there.
So what is happening here then?
So what's happening is the House of Representatives has sent a check with money in the bank ready to go to fund the government to the Senate. And the Senate Democrats, we need 60 of them. We've got 53 Republicans on the Senate side. So we need at least 7 Democrats. And it looks like one of our Republican senators, won't sign off on this. So in that case, we need 8 Senate Democrats sign off on that check. So we've sent a check from the House to the Senate with nothing else besides funding for the government. And what the Senate Democrats want is a complicated health care debate, which I'm happy to have. As a family doctor myself, I'd love to have that debate, but we should have that in committee, not with a continuing resolution with the American people held hostage by this shutdown threat.
Yeah, so why pick this point in time to have this debate?
This point in time was started back in March when we sent a continuing resolution back at that point for a 6-month funding process. And actually what we're asking for, and this is where I'm really proud of the Republicans' efforts on this, is more time to do the regular order budgeting that we should do and that the American people expect us to do. We've actually passed out of appropriations on the House side 12 out of 12 appropriations bills. And off the floor, we've passed 3 out of those 12. And we want regular order budget. Regular order budgets allow certainty for the American public and as well as those that contract with our federal government. And in this case, we're well on our way. So if we have 45 more days, we'll continue to work on regular order budget and have these debates as to healthcare issues that the Democrats want to engage in. What's interesting, Maria, is that I was there when 12 days ago we passed this continuing resolution. There was no conversation whatsoever about any sort of healthcare debates. We signed off on this continuing resolution with a Democrat on the House side, signed off on it as well, sent it over to the Senate. And all of a sudden, these complicated, very expensive propositions come out of the Democrats. And they're holding the American people hostage with the government shutdown as a result of these complicated debates associated with the continuing resolution.
Let's focus on Utah for just a second. How is Utah being impacted by this in your mind?
Utahns are being impacted. I'm proud of the balanced budget of the state. As a 10-year state legislator, we balance our budget every year, and I'm just so remarkably impressed with my legislative colleagues and our governor. We work on these things to make sure we don't have these sort of nonsensical and childish fights associated with funding. We do that in the legislative process every year during our 45-day work session in the legislative process. So, yes, there are threats that people will be furloughed. They are being furloughed today. And that's because, as I've said, the House Republicans have sent over a check, and all we need is Chuck Schumer and his Democrat colleagues to sign that check, and the government will be funded. And they're holding the American people hostage, but as a result, WIC payments are being threatened. I understand in the next several days we may not have WIC services. Women, Infants, and Children is a program to feed babies, infant babies, and help mothers who've just delivered babies to have necessary nutritional supplements. So in addition to that, there are many people that are not going to get a paycheck if we continue this. That includes TSA workers as well as federal workers. And I don't think it's appropriate. In fact, I'll just say for the future, Maria, if the good people of Utah want me to continue to serve as a congressman in future, I think clean continuing resolutions to fund the government are a reasonable approach as we work through debates. But if the Democrats send a complicated health care debate associated with a clean continuing resolution to fund the government, it's going to be something that I can't support. So we've heard Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer in the past advocate for Republicans to vote for their continuing resolution. Now it's just the shoe's on the other foot. And in this case, the Democrats don't want to play ball. And that's because they don't want to give sway to President Trump and the Republicans conference as they move this forward.
Congressman, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Congressman Mike Kennedy joining me. Democrats defend their votes against the Republicans' plan, saying it's not their fault that the government had to shut down. Here's House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries on ABC News Good Morning America.
Donald Trump and Republicans have shut the government down because they don't want to provide health care to working class Americans. Democrats are united in our resolve to make sure that we cancel the cuts, lower the costs, and save health care for the American people. We're in the midst of an incredible crisis, a health care crisis that Republicans have caused. In the next few days, more than 20 million Americans are going to experience notices that will indicate that their premiums and copays and deductibles are about to skyrocket, bankrupting many Americans or preventing them from being able to get access to the health care that they need.
ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott speaking with Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut.
How long would you be willing to let a shutdown go on until your demands are met? As long as it takes?
We need to save health care. It's so basic and existential for a lot of American families.
Stick with KSL News Radio as we continue to track any developments with the federal budget, the latest updates on air on the KSL News Radio app and at kslnewsradio.com. When we return in just 60 seconds, we'll take a closer look at how the shutdown is affecting federal programs that help everyday Utahns. Stay with us.
Amanda, I want to tell people how they can look and feel 10 years younger because it's something you and I already know.
We lost weight with the SOTA weight loss program. I lost 34 pounds, 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
And I do feel younger. I have more energy, all because I worked through this wonderful program, SOTA weight loss.
And I let go of 70 pounds of fat weight over 5 months. And I actually did get comments, you look incredibly younger. It really felt good.
And I love the example I set for my kids to show them, look, we can celebrate things without having to eat stuff that's bad for our bodies.
And what helps is the accountability. And right now, this is the best way to do it. SOTA's bringing back their most popular offer of the season. Join now, and your partner joins for free in the partner program.
So you and your spouse, or you and your best friend, get going with SOTA weight loss.
They're the #1 weight loss company in America for client satisfaction and client results. You can find out by going to their website, sotaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Because SOTA is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
With the federal government now shut down, all non-essential employees have been furloughed. That can affect the stability of federal agencies and programs and has many worried about their federal benefits. One popular benefit for Utahns is WIC, the federal program helping women, infant, and children. Jodelle Guylamun Park is the vendor manager for Utah WIC, and she tells KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla.
Don't panic for now. No, business as usual in grocery stores. In fact, we've seen thousands of transactions go through already today. And this is kind of an aside, but we actually implemented a new food rule effective today, where we made significant changes to the food packages that WIC families receive. And all of that is functioning as expected at the grocery stores, and participants can continue to shop as they usually do.
She says benefits will continue for the time being, thanks largely in part to a statewide collaborative process.
We understand that this is an uncertain and certainly frustrating time for Utahns who are worried about providing healthy food for their families. WIC currently serves over 49,000 Utah moms and their infants and children and they're all potentially impacted by the federal government shutdown. However, as of today, WIC operations and shopping have not been disrupted by the shutdown for the foreseeable future. We're working closely with all of our stakeholders, with the Department of Health and Human Services, with state finance, with USDA to secure funding to allow WIC participants to redeem benefits as long as possible and hopefully indefinitely should the shutdown linger on for a long time.
She does caution, however, that WIC and SNAP funding vary state by state. So while things are going to continue working as normal here in Utah, it might not be that way in all states. And depending on how long the shutdown lasts, we could see troubles in the future with the benefits here in Utah.
This varies from state to state, right? Because funding is allocated and operated on a state agency basis, and then even potentially within states from local agency health department to local agency health department, depending on funding and allocations. So we don't have a blanket statement for how everything was handled in the last shutdown. We know that the longer a shutdown continues, the more likely the WIC program is to be impacted by the lack of a budget for the new fiscal year.
But right now,
things are okay for now for people who already are participating in the WIC program. They can shop as usual. Our clinics across the state are still open and a valuable resource for moms who are seeking nutrition counseling, breastfeeding support, etc. And we're also still seeing new clients. So we definitely don't want anyone to not come into the WIC clinics seeking assistance if they need it. We are open and serving participants and our clients as usual.
Jodelle Geilman Park is the vendor manager for Utah WIC. The federal government shutdown is also causing concerns for IRS workers in Weber County. We'll hear how they are reacting to the news today, coming up after the break. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We still have a right lane blocked as crews remain on the scene of this crash westbound I-80. It's after Redwood Road and by the I-215's West Belt Junction. Again, the right lane is blocked, but no delay. Also, a lane blocked on the ramp. This is going to be in Taylorsville on I-215's West Belt going southbound at 4700 South. With that right lane blocked, you still have plenty of room to get by on the right. There's a place everyone wants to be. Lighten your heart, clear your mind in a colorful canvas. Vibrant red rocks, amber leaves, blue skies, and emerald green forest trails for the best recreating, and that's Cedar City. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Comcast Business can help turn your small business into a connected, secure, modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How healthcare offices become the data-protecting caregivers that we all depend on. And how wealth management firms become cyber-securing guardians of your information. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, and Wi-Fi backup, your business can stay connected and get threat-ready with Comcast Business. Powering possibilities.
Now through November 16th, new Comcast Business customers can get started with 150 megabit internet plus security for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig package. Call today. Restrictions apply. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and auto pay with bank account. Early termination fee applies. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
Lowe's knows how to help make your home holiday ready for less. Get Select Style Selections vinyl flooring for just $1.99 per square foot and have it installed before the festivities begin. Our team can help you every step of the way. See a Lowe's Red Vest associate or visit Lowe's.com/holiday install to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save. Basic install only. Date restrictions apply. Subject to availability. Installed by independent contractors. See associate for details. Contiguous U.S. only.
You were listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. We are continuing our special coverage of the government shutdown today. While speaking to reporters this morning, Vice President J.D. Vance did not mince words. He called Democrats' request ridiculous.
We all understand that Democrats and Republicans have policy disagreements. The Democrats want to do things. Look, when Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries were in here a couple of days ago, they made some suggestions that the president was more than happy to say, yes, let's sit down and talk about how we can solve the health care crisis that we inherited from the Biden administration. But it's one thing to say that we should solve the health care crisis for Americans. It's another thing to say that we're going to shut down the government unless we give the Democrats every single thing that they want, which, as Caroline says, includes giving billions of dollars of taxpayer funding for health care for illegal migrants. That's ridiculous. You don't have policy disagreements that serve as the basis for a government shutdown. Let's have the conversation about how to fix American health care, about how to make health care more accessible. As the president showed, he's more than willing to act on behalf of the American people for this very reason. What you don't do is say, unless you do exactly what we want to do as congressional Democrats, we're taking a hostage. And the hostage, it turns out, is critical, essential services that the American people need. Caroline talked about some of it. Let me talk about some more. Our troops are not getting paid starting today because of the Chuck Schumer wing of the Democratic Party. We have people who require food assistance, low-income Americans who require food assistance, who will not get it unless we reopen the government, thanks to Chuck Schumer and his wing of the Democratic Party. We have flood insurance as we start hurricane season in the southeastern part of our country. That flood insurance is going to disappear because of Chuck Schumer and the far left of the Democratic Party. We need to reopen the government. Let's fix America's problems. Let's work together to solve them. But let's reopen the government before we have our negotiation about health care policy. That's what the American people demand, and that's certainly what the President of the United States wants. Let me make one final point. I think a lot of Americans are asking themselves, why did this happen? Why did the Democrats shut down the government despite, as Caroline said, voting on the exact same piece of legislation 6 months ago? And there are a lot of different spins that we can put on it, a lot of different answers that we could give, all of them true. One answer I already gave is that they want to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. That is true. They gave us legislative text that would have undone us cutting off health care benefits for illegal aliens. That's one of the things that they asked for.
The Democratic budget proposal would extend funding for health care that was set to expire by the end of the year. With federal funding running out at midnight, it means many federal workers aren't working today, and yet others required to work without pay for the time being. I spoke with Robert Lawrence, president of the National Treasury Employees Union chapter that represents IRS workers in Ogden, to find out how workers there are responding to the events today.
Here at the IRS, we are fully funded for the next 5 business days, and then after that, they'll decide who's going to be essential, and a good chunk of our people will be considered essential.
Okay, I understand that you received an email from leadership about what this means. What are you hearing from them?
Not much. They're not giving us a lot of information, but that's what I just said is basically what has happened with every other shutdown.
So what's the mood like there for IRS workers that know that they're not going to be paid for a while?
Well, I think we're getting one more paycheck, and after that, it's going to be that's when we start worrying and wondering when we're going to get paid and how we're going to make our bills and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Robert, this isn't the first time that this has happened to you guys. So what happens when, you don't have, are there other resources available for folks?
I think the resources will start coming out. I know the banks, some banks here, some local credit unions and stuff will give us low interest rate loans, and many of our landlords and stuff like that understand the situation. So there are some resources. There's not a whole lot, though.
Mm-hmm. So can you kind of describe what happened when this happened 7 years ago?
From what I remember, that was the first time that we really felt the effect of not having a paycheck, and so it was very frightening at the time. It was very frightening, and a lot of us were really had high anxiety, really.
Yeah. What are your concerns about morale and the future of employees at the IRS? Does this really make people not want to work for the IRS?
Well, from what's been going on in the past with the fork in the road email and then all the people taking all the buyouts and then having them start rehiring again. We're all just kind of confused and kind of just there's a big collective eye roll going on right now about how they're handling things.
Excuse me. How does this impact the actual work that needs to be done there?
So right now it's going full throttle, business as usual. But once we get down to the essential people, it's going to slow to a crawl.
All right.
So it will affect tax returns. It'll affect refunds, that kind of stuff.
Any final thoughts for us?
We're just here. We just want to do our job. We can't go on strike or anything like that. We don't want to go on strike. It's against the law for us to go on strike. So we're just here telling them, doing what we're told to do, and we'll do it, and we're going to do our best job.
Robert Lawrence is president of the National Treasury Employees Union chapter that represents IRS workers in Ogden. It's 1:30, midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints gathering to remember and honor President Russell M. Nelson ahead of his official funeral next week. Saving at-risk species here in Utah will get more on the success of recent conservation efforts. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
A right lane blocked on the exit ramp from I-215's westbound at 4700 South. Maria?
A high today of 78, 81 tomorrow with no chance of rain. Then the chance of showers returning on Friday and a high of 75. 71 downtown. KSL's top local stories coming up in 1 minute. It's 1:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Lawmakers in the Senate failing to pass a stopgap measure to end the federal shutdown in another vote today. 750,000 government workers impacted that are furloughed, and Vice President J.D. Vance echoed President Trump's threat that permanent layoffs are likely next.
The question is this just a threat at this point to try to put pressure on Democrats, or will they actually follow through on this? And we have seen this administration, of course, cut agencies, cut departments, and cut federal workers by significant numbers as part of that DOGE effort.
ABC's Karen Travers. Republicans need the help of Democrats to pass a measure to extend government funding. The Supreme Court, without explanation, moved to allow Lisa Cook to remain as Federal Reserve Governor after President Trump appealed to the highest court to remove her, alleging mortgage fraud. Those allegations she denies. The decision allows Cook's case to proceed in the lower courts. Acclaimed primatologist Jane Goodall has died. Her institute announced the 91-year-old died of natural causes. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. A scare on Utah State University's campus yesterday has turned out to be a wildlife collar rather than anything dangerous or explosive. USU police evacuated Old Main because of the device while they investigated it. Campus authorities say it was a collar used to track the location of wildlife that an employee had used to teach students about telemetry work. They detonated that collar to be safe and issued the all clear. The Senate failed to pass a spending bill overnight, which means we are officially in a government shutdown. The federal government funds programs like WIC and SNAP, both of which could be affected in the shutdown. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla has more.
Don't panic. Everything is okay right now. That's the message Utah WIC vendor manager Jodale Geilman Park wants to get out there.
Things are okay for now for people who already are participating in the WIC program. They can shop as usual.
Geilman Park says it's a statewide collaborative process, and they're working with state finance, the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the USDA to keep things going.
SNAP also released a statement saying they don't expect any immediate impacts from the shutdown. Other local stories KSL is following. The Utah County Warming Center schedule is changing this year, shortening by about a month, but providing extra support to help the homeless become more self-sufficient. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
The county decided to go from 3 buildings for their warming centers to only 1 in a central location. Known as the Red Building, the commission says this will improve access. They will also open in November instead of October and close out the start of March. Job training, employment support, and sobriety programs will also be available to help those in the homeless community transition back to their own homes.
Additional services include mental health care and housing placement services. The commission says they believe this will provide not only shelter, but pathways to stability. The Utah Jazz introduced their new public address announcer this morning. Mark Denman says he's been working on his catchphrases to get the crowd going.
Yes.
I have some in the bag that I plan to employ here in Delta Center that I hope will gravitate and that the fans will gravitate to, and they'll catch on. And yes, I can't wait to bring them out of the bag.
Denman tells the Front Row podcast with Holly Rowe. He has been a voice actor for the past couple of decades, and he's done PA announcing before for the Atlanta Braves, Harlem Globetrotters, and Auburn University. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 90 points, sitting at 46,493. S&P is up by 28 points, and the NASDAQ up by 111 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We're still seeing a delay-free drive on all the Valley freeways. That's the good news. But the bad news is we still have the cleanup of the crash westbound I-80 at I-215's West Belt. That right lane still blocked. And a right lane blocked at the ramp. This is southbound I-215's West Belt at 4700 South on the exit ramp in Taylorsville. October 11th, Salt Lake City AutoCon, a one-of-a-kind convention by and for autistic adults. Workshops, resources, and community. Get your tickets at autocon.org. Use promo code KSL free. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Nice temperatures in the 70s and even 80 tomorrow for the next few days, but then a big change coming on the weekend. On Saturday, the temperature dropping down into the 60s, the high only 66 degrees, and a 40% chance of showers. 71 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Shop with any Mountain America credit or debit card for a chance to win a $5,000 vacation voucher. Simply tap, insert, swipe, or click to be entered to win now until October 31st. Use any card, win any trip from Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/anycard for official rules or to apply. Loans on approved credit. Membership required based on eligibility. Insured by NCUA. Limited time offer. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time.
As you gather for General Conference, visit the book table on historic Main Street in Logan. Find uplifting Latter-day Saint books, study journals and markers, temple art, and thoughtful missionary gifts. Keep little ones engaged with quiet books, puzzles, and Sunday-friendly games. From inspiring music to home decor, make the most of conference weekend with the book table. Shop mainstreetbooktable.com or stop in today. The Book Table, where your story begins.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone stabbing a knife into your heel? Or does your lower back pain get worse as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100% pain-free.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system, I put them in my shoes, walked out of the store. All the pain was gone. My back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you and schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos.
Remembering President Russell M. Nelson. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
This morning, leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints paying tribute to the life of the 17th president of the church, President Russell M. Nelson.
Today, leaders of the church shared some of their favorite stories, teachings, and memories of President Nelson before he passed away at the age of 101. President Dallin H. Oaks and Elder Henry B. Eyring served as his counselors in the first presidency. President Oaks says the last time they saw President Nelson was 2 days before he died.
We expressed our love for him, our dearest friend,
and gave him assurances that we were carrying on with the decisions he had made. He smiled and tried hard to communicate with us. Words were difficult, but his efforts and his smile conveyed the love he felt for us as his counselors and for each of you in this great work.
Primary General President Susan H. Porter spoke about when she and her husband met President Nelson for the first time 30 years ago.
When my husband Bruce and I were invited to meet with him in his office, we were nervous. But he greeted us with quiet dignity and was kind and unhurried. As we conversed, we could feel him looking deeply into our eyes and listening intently, not with judgment, but with love. It was only later we learned that his beloved daughter Emily had passed away from cancer just days before our meeting. Even though his soul was sorrowing, he had ministered to us with the Savior's loving kindness.
Presiding Bishop of the church, Gerald Cosset, worked closely with President Nelson as part of his calling in the church.
He listened to everyone intently, his eyes filled with kindness and giving his complete attention to every word.
President Oak says when he thinks of President Nelson now, he thinks of a servant of God and Jesus Christ, as well as a prophet of love.
I pray that we will always remember and be influenced by the great teachings and example of love from our prophet, President Russell M. Nelson.
Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
One person who has been following the ministry of President Russell M. Nelson for many years is KSL 5 TV religion reporter Carol Makita. Last hour, she joined the noon show to share her thoughts on the program today. Now, here's some of what she had to say, speaking to Brooke Walker and Tamara Villafanua.
Each person, each speaker had something special and personal to talk about President Nelson. And as you say, unique. I think from the very beginning of his presidency, everything was unique. And so this carries right on through that.
I was loosely counting. This wasn't an exact numerical count, but the word love was used at least 36 times, and a dozen of those by President Oaks, who started off the broadcast.
And I think that's a beautiful way to remember him. Those words, he constantly was talking about the love of Jesus Christ and our love one to another. And so it's not surprising that no one will forget that.
Carol says the timing of today's special, just before General Conference this weekend, gives members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints an appropriate opportunity to come together and do as the Scriptures say, to mourn with those who mourn. Funeral services for President Nelson were announced earlier this week. The public is invited to the viewing on Monday the 6th from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. inside the conference center at Temple Square in Salt Lake City. President Nelson's funeral will be on Tuesday the 7th, starting at noon in the conference center. Tickets will be required to get in and will become available online on Thursday. You can also listen to the funeral service live right here on KSL News Radio.
The Michigan Church Attack. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
A member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints visited with survivors of the attack on a Michigan chapel. Elder David A. Bednar toured what's left of the burned-down chapel and offered words of hope and comfort to the surviving members.
It's horrific. There's a tremendous, immediate reaction of just gut-wrenching sorrow.
Elder Bednar, who also spoke exclusively with KSL 5 TV's Dan Rascone, telling him why it was important for him to travel to Flint, Michigan after this tragedy.
Because I don't think words are enough. The brethren wanted to have one of us come, because if we show up, I think that says more about our love for these people and our support than all of the sermons we could ever preach.
His message to the community is twofold.
There's a wide range of impacts as a result of this. Some have received personal injuries, some have lost loved ones. The message is really very simple. They have loved ones who may have died, but they're not dead because of the atonement of Jesus Christ. Every human being that now lives, ever has lived, ever will live, will be resurrected. And there is hope in that eternal truth. So that's part of the message that I hope they will understand. And secondly, that the purpose of the gospel is to strengthen us, to help us to become new creatures in Christ, and it gives us the strength from heaven to be able to deal with these kinds of hard situations and learn the lessons that can be learned.
But more importantly, Elder Bednar says he and his wife personally met with those affected.
What we will do in the devotional is secondary to the fact that all of the people who've been affected, we sat with in a small group, we hugged them. My wife embraced every one of the women with a hug that I'm sure is quite helpful. So we've tried to make it not a large group thing. We've tried to make it as close to one by one as we could.
Andy says he's been uplifted by the church members he's met with.
In the midst of this horrible event, what I've seen are faithful Latter-day Saints following the admonition of President Nelson to be peacemakers in how they respond to this episode and how they support and serve each other.
In additional thoughts released by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Elder Bednar highlighting what he has seen from the members of the Ward House.
I've not detected any bitterness, certainly sorrow, but no bitterness, no resentment.
Elder David A. Bednar has been in Michigan to meet with survivors of the attack on their chapel. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
This March, Wendy's is fueling the madness with amazing deals on their hamburgers made with fresh, never frozen beef.
Like a juicy Dave's single for $1 and a fresh $2 Dave's double with in-app offer.
It's such a good deal, we wrote a little ditty about it. Get it for $1. Dave's single, order in the app. Dave's single, get it for $1. Choose wisely, choose Wendy's official hamburger March Madness.
Limited time offer. Participating U.S. Wendy's. See offer details and redeem at Wendy's app. Account registration required. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Alaska.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Today, conservationists around Utah celebrated the state's new Utah Wildlife Action Plan. The plan allowing conservation efforts to expand for some of the state's most at-risk species. Joining me now live to talk more about these plans is Paul Thompson, Habitat Section Assistant Chief with the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources. And Paul, tell us more about this plan.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today. This is an exciting plan. Most of our wildlife species in Utah have a plan to help us manage them more effectively. And this is our plan for native species of Utah. And what this plan does is it really, the cornerstone of it is it identifies the species in need of conservation attention, so we can focus those limited funding dollars we have and put them into the most critical species. So it identifies 250 species in need of conservation attention across several taxa. We have 8 that are herps, amphibians, and reptiles, 22 that are fish, 26 mollusks are identified, 14 mammals, 23 birds, 145 plants, and 16 insects. So it covers all species, and it really highlights those ones we need to be focusing on.
Wow, 250, that's a lot more than I would have thought were at risk.
Yeah, well, when you add plants and insects, which were added this version of the plan, that is about 2/3 of those species. So we have some unique geology in Utah, and some of those plants only occur in small areas, which put them at risk.
Okay. Could you mention just a couple, maybe one of each of the species? Start with the plants. What is most at risk is when it comes to plants?
Well, part of what this plan does is it helps us focus our efforts, and we have been putting some time into Utes ladies tresses, which is threatened under the Endangered Species Act, and we are at a point with the Fish and Wildlife Service now that we can delist that species. They've proposed it for delisting, so that's one of our success stories on plants, as we've put enough effort into that species to where it's going to come off of the ESA.
Mm-hmm. So when you are focusing on a species, what exactly is involved in that?
Well, for one, we got to understand where the species occurs on our landscape. So some species we've done surveys for and we understand where they are. Other species, that's our first step, right, is we got to figure out where they occur, and then we can figure out what the threats might be to their habitats that they live in. A lot of times we have to also understand what their life history requirements are. Maybe there's a part of their life history that's been disrupted, and we need to understand that so we can work to repair that. So there's a lot that goes into it depending on the species that we're working on. But loss of habitat is one of the threats out there. And then we live in a dry state in Utah, so as we go through these extended droughts, it just even gets worse. All wildlife and plants and insects need water, so it makes it really hard out there when we go through these big droughts.
Yeah, what do you hope people understand about these endangered species?
So what we're doing is we're working this plan. We worked with over 35 partners to revise it. The first iteration was actually in 2005, and then it has to be reviewed and revised every 10 years. So we did that in 2015 and again in 2025. Each plan is getting better. We're growing partners that we work with in the state. We all have different bandwidths on what we can do, but we're really engaged with a lot of partners that are working with the public to help us do surveys and document some of these species where we don't know where they really occur on the landscape. So through iNaturalist, people can report sightings and where they've seen them, the dates they've seen them, and that allows us then to use that information and better understand, because this is a large group of species, and it takes a big effort, and the more eyes we have out there, the better we'll understand where these species occur.
All right, Paul, before I let you go, where would they do that reporting?
So iNaturalist, you can find that online, and you can sign up. There's a few Utah projects, Utah Herp Search, Utah Pollinator Pursuit. There's several projects they could get involved in.
All right, thanks for your help today. That is Paul Thompson. He's Habitat Section Assistant Chief with the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources. How much do you know and understand about the movie ratings used here in the U.S.? This weekend, KSL News Radio's Andy Farnsworth takes you behind the movie ratings. We'll get a preview of a special program that he's been working on next. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
It looks like crews are wrapping up this accident westbound on I-80 at I-215's West Belt. They're getting ready to open up that right lane of travel. And we also have a new crash. This is northbound I-15 at the ramp to go eastbound on the 21st South Freeway. The Utah Symphony's Masterworks series features the greatest classical hits from the 1700s to today. Everyone's welcome at Abravanel Hall. Tickets start at $26 at utahsymphony.org/hits. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
October is here, and that has a lot of us worried about that pound creep, that extra weight that we gain as the holidays come closer. And, Thanksgiving is one of them, yes, but Halloween coming up on us very quickly. If you want to avoid that pound creep, I want to tell you about Salt Lake City Fat Loss. This is a great way to avoid that and actually take off those extra pounds before we reach the holiday season, before we reach that Christmas season. I've lost more than 40 pounds with Salt Lake City Fat Loss. Many of their clients lose up to a pound per day, and that's because what this program does is use just some simple, natural foods to really break down that stored fat, that stored belly fat. It works very quickly, which keeps you motivated. They give you really great resources to make sure that you stay accountable, you're inspired, and you get some great recipes to make sure that you don't get bored with food. Again, I've lost more than 40 pounds, but many of their clients lose up to a pound per day. Find out how you can save $200 now at slcfatloss.com, or you can call them 801-450-1882, slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
Well, what other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. When parents see a movie rating, do they really understand what it means and what's behind the rating? This weekend, Andy Farnsworth is doing a 1-hour special on the process behind how a movie is rated and what parents need to know. As the host of the movie show, Andy tells me he wanted to share his expertise in hopes of better informing parents about the ratings system.
Well, obviously, as the host of the movie show, we talk about a lot of different movies. I end up seeing movies that I might not see if I wasn't the host of the movie show. I definitely see movies that as I'm watching them, I'm like, well, I'm not letting my kids see this. And I got thinking about it. And, especially having grown up here in Utah, there's kind of been a feeling among parents like, okay, not safe for kids. Although you always end up seeing kids at an R-rated movie. And sometimes you're like, what were their parents thinking? But they are allowed to do that. Or you go to a PG-13 movie. And so some parents would be like, oh, if it's PG-13, it's all fine. But then sometimes you watch it and you think, wow, that got PG-13? Or, hey, that was rated R. What was wrong with it? And I just thought that it might be helpful if people fully understood how the ratings work, because I wanted to know. How the ratings work, how are movies rated, who does it, and what parents need to know when they're looking at whether they should have their kids watch a movie.
Okay, I'm excited to hear more about this, but what would you say is the most surprising thing about how these movie ratings are determined that people don't understand?
Well, I was a little surprised because people look at ratings and they kind of feel like it's some kind of censorship. And I guess in a way it kind of is. Because once the rating board decides on a rating, the filmmaker has to decide, do they accept that rating and all of the impact that means? Because as we talk about in the show, the difference between a PG, a PG-13, and an R rating can make huge difference in numbers at the box office just by limiting the audience that kind of has free access to it. So for marketing for big films, that might be something where they're like, we really need this to come in at PG-13. And so then the filmmaker has to decide, okay, well, what am I going to include? What am I going to leave out? So it gets into this back and forth between telling a story and accomplishing what you need it to accomplish in the big picture. And so the filmmakers have to decide if they accept the rating. And then if they do, then they're okay with it. But if they don't, they have to decide, are they going to make changes or are they just going to accept it and release it without a rating? If they do that, then fewer theaters are willing necessarily to book the movie. So there's a whole side to this that I don't think people realize that I found fascinating in the research.
So who is this ratings board?
That's a great question. So the Motion Picture Association, originally called the Motion Picture Association of America, they are the ones who rate. This was the idea of a guy named Jack Valenti, who worked in the Lyndon Johnson administration. So in the late 60s, and we talk about this in the special, kind of the history of how did we get to this point. But they decided rather than let the government come in and tell you what you can and can't put in movies, they said, well, what if we make the movies how we want, but we let parents, real parents, watch the movie and decide what age they think is appropriate for a kid to watch. So his quote is, if you're an adult, the rating system doesn't exist. It's what do you want to see? If you're a kid, your parents need to know this is the type of content that you'll find inside it.
Okay, so you're going to break down each of the ratings and tell parents what's important for them to know.
Yeah, and just how it works and the whole process behind it. And Maria, we live in an age where it's actually getting to a point where this is only one slice of the pie for kids. Like parents have to be even more vigilant now than they ever have been if they worry about what their kids see and watch.
Behind Movie Ratings, what every parent should know before heading to the theater will air on Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Coming up, we'll learn about a new app that's making it easier to find people lost in the wilderness. It relies on just 3 words. More on that in the next hour of Midday. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
While the government shutdown countdown has ended, the federal government is closed for business right now. Another countdown is still on for Utahns. With less than a week to go, you're running out of time to give your feedback on the proposed Utah congressional maps. Many folks still trying to figure out if they like the proposals or not.
City and county boundaries are often not a fantastic representation of like a community at large. You know what I mean? Like these are boundaries that were determined by politicians as well.
The time is 2 o'clock on Tuesday, October 1st. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, we'll break down the latest analysis on the maps put forth by the state legislature. Also this hour,
both sides have and can use this as a weapon. I think it's entirely inappropriate.
we are continuing to track the ongoing government shutdown. More reaction from Utah's congressional leaders coming up shortly. But first, our top stories. The money in that spending bill goes to food and family programs like SNAP and WIC, which could be affected by the shutdown. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
It's hectic in D.C., but here in Utah, it's business as usual. Utah WIC vendor manager Jodell Gileman Park says thousands of transactions have already gone through today, and they will continue to for the time being. It's thanks to a statewide collaborative process.
We're working closely with all of our stakeholders, with the Department of Health and Human Services, with state finance, with USDA to secure funding to allow WIC participants to redeem benefits as long as possible and hopefully indefinitely.
Gileman Park says there's no need to panic at this time. Clinics are still open and benefits are still being issued. SNAP has also issued a statement saying it doesn't anticipate any immediate impacts. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story from ABC News. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that Lisa Cook can remain as a governor on the Federal Reserve Board for now. The court didn't give an explanation, but will hear arguments in January regarding her attempted firing by the Trump administration. President Trump claimed Cook was engaged in mortgage fraud, a claim she denies.
In taking up this case in January, they're letting Lisa Cook stay on the job at least until then, possibly into the early part of next year, regardless of how they decide this case, which is significant. Other challenges to President Trump's power, removing people from federal agencies, have been challenged in court. And in those cases, the Supreme Court has said those people can be off the job while the cases go forward. Not so in this case.
That is ABC's Devin Dwyer. Other national stories KSL is following. Jane Goodall, the most prolific primatologist of a generation, has died. She was 91 years old. In a 2019 interview for the Disney nature documentary Penguins, Goodall told ABC how it feels being an inspiration to young women.
Well, I feel, how lucky I've been to be in this position and how lucky I was to have an amazing mother. because I dreamed of going to Africa and living with animals when I was 10, and everybody laughed at me. But Mum said, if you really want this, you're going to have to work really hard, take advantage of opportunity, don't give up. And that's what I tell the young people, boys as well as girls, especially in disadvantaged communities. And so many have come up and said, Jane, thank you. You taught me because you did it. I can do it too.
Goodall was 91 years old. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day up 43 points, sitting at 46,441 at the close. S&P up by 23 points. The NASDAQ up by 95 points. Traffic and weather brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
I've been trying to get caught up on this crash. It's at the I-8201 junction with northbound I-15. It's actually on the ramp from eastbound on the 21st South Freeway to go northbound on I-15, and they have been able to get it moved out of traffic to the shoulder. It is not causing any delays. From system install to fast fixes to delivering award-winning heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Call Whipple Service Champions for the win today. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Forecast for the Wasatch Front calls for a high today of 78, 81 tomorrow. Then the showers return on Friday and the temperature dipping into the 60s by Saturday. 71 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today, 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227, or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Utahns have just 6 more days to make their opinions known about a half-dozen proposed congressional maps. Lawmakers are being forced to redraw the maps after a judge ruled the current map violates a voter initiative from 2018. To help people understand the proposed maps, Better Utah Institute has posted their evaluations on their website.
Our scoring focused on 5 key areas. First, a simple number count of how many county and cities are split. And the next 3 points we focused on were compactness, competitiveness, and proportionality, each kind of adhering to a very specific definition that is both supported in kind of political standards, Prop 4 language, and we define it in our report as well.
The Institute's executive director, Taylor Knuth, tells KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff they evaluated the maps based on things like the division of cities and the division of counties and compactness.
So on compactness, we're looking to measure how geographically tight the maps were and regularly shaped each district was. So instead of being stretched or oddly contorted, we were looking for maps that clearly followed a level of compactness, and the higher that compactness was, the more regular the shape was, the higher the score was.
He says they also looked at proportionality and competitiveness.
So competitiveness is a measure on how likely it is that one or more political party has a real chance of actually winning in that district. A higher score indicates a more competitive map. And what I will say about our analysis kind of across the board is the competitive nature of all of the maps was relatively low and represents a weakness in all of the scenarios given.
And he says competitiveness is the most important factor to consider when drawing boundary lines.
Competitive districts mean representation, and that means that they actually must listen to their constituents. That's why I believe competitiveness is the most important thing in this analysis, at least in my view, because when districts are competitive, politicians have to compete in fair races for the vote on the issues that actually matter to the Utahns that live in that district. They don't pander to the extremes because they have to be winning the majority of Utahns, which are not the extremists on either side. They have to represent our values of fiscal responsibility and stewardship and preserving our quality of life for generations to come. And when the maps aren't fair, they're not focused on those interests. They're focused in the interests that keep them in power.
While most maps are divided into counties, Knuth says drawing boundaries based on city or county lines isn't the best way to draw a voting district map.
I mean, this is just me as a lifelong Utahn talking. City and county boundaries are often not a fantastic representation of like a community at large. You know what I mean? Like these are boundaries that were determined by politicians as well. I live in the heart of Ogden, and I have a very big community that extends into South Ogden, and I would contend that as an Ogdenite, I want to be in the same community as my South Ogden city resident neighbors, but that would be still count as a potential split of a county, right? So I think that the boundaries of cities and counties are very important, but I also think in the larger context of it, they're also selected by ultimately politicians. So that's why I think those third, fourth, and fifth measures of compactness, competitiveness, and proportionality are so critical to the conversation. And ultimately, I do believe that competitiveness is one of the most important factors because Utahns are entitled to fair, free, and competitive elections, just like every other state in the union.
Taylor Knuth is the executive director of the Better Utah Institute. He says they have not ranked the maps because they want people to decide for themselves which map makes the most sense to them. On the national level, fights about changing congressional district maps mid-decade are making their way to federal courts. Today, parties for and against Republican proposed maps for Texas will make their arguments as to whether or not those maps are legal. News Nation's Xavier Walton has more.
Today, a three-judge panel out in El Paso has taken up this high-stakes lawsuit over Texas' new mid-decade congressional maps. Democrats and civil rights groups, they want to block it, which they said they were going to attempt to do in court. That's where the battle goes now. They argue that the GOP-drawn maps pack and crack districts to silence minority voices, dilute their voting power. The districts mostly impacted, obviously, majority minority districts where racial minorities make up most of the voters. Now, on the flip side, Texas GOP deny racial gerrymandering, saying these new maps simply reflect, quote, population growth in urban areas and that the lines are legally justified. The map passed in August under pressure from President Trump and under scrutiny and a lot of drama. It's been at the center of a political storm. But that's because here's what is at stake. This legal fight could shape control of the U.S. House during the final 2 years of President Trump's term.
Xavier says the hearing is expected to last for 9 days and any decision could be appealed. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866.
New reaction today to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's speech to hundreds of military officials. Hegseth was joined on stage by President Trump, who said troops may be deployed in more U.S. cities. ABC's Morgan Norwood has more.
One Republican staffer saying the speech looked more like political theater than addressing serious challenges. But many Republican lawmakers praising the speech. Senator Lindsey Graham saying it is a breath of fresh air to see a commander-in-chief expressing unending pride in our military and being strong without apology.
Continuing our coverage is ABC News Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz.
Hegseth warning the group, some of the most experienced warfighters in a generation, who sat expressionless as Hegseth hammered home his points.
No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship.
The secretary laid out new policy standards and fitness standards. And for ground combat roles, which women have been performing for more than a decade, the high male standard will now be the norm.
Many people have voiced frustration and concern with comments made during that meeting about differing combat standards for men and women. One of those is Amy McGrath, the retired Marine fighter pilot. She was the first woman to fly a combat mission for the Marine Corps. In 2020, she ran to represent Kentucky in the U.S. Senate, running as a Democrat against incumbent Republican Senator Mitch McConnell. She took to social media after Secretary Hegseth's remarks yesterday, saying there's never been a different combat standard for men and women.
Since combat roles have been opened for qualified women, there have always been one standard for those jobs. Flying a fighter jet, for example, there was never a men's standard and a women's standard for flying. Never. There wasn't a men's standard or a woman's standard to be an artillery officer or an infantryman. There wasn't a men's standard or a woman's standard to be a tanker or to be on a submarine. There was always one standard, always. It's a slap in the face and offensive to suggest otherwise. You are diminishing the service of thousands of women who have met the standard, the one standard, or exceeded them 100%. I think there's some confusion sometimes around administrative standards, okay? Administrative standards are things that test people when they come into the service, or maybe annual measures of health and fitness, and those are based on age. Some of them are based on height and weight, which are different for lots of different people. And yes, some are based on gender. Those are administrative standards. They are not the same as combat job standards. All combat job standards have always been the same from day one. Let me repeat, all combat job standards have always been the same from day one.
She says that she's tired of leaders using talking points to diminish women and their role in protecting the country. Let's go more in depth on these combat standards. What are they? Are they really the same for men and women? After the break, we'll get some answers from retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We still have a right lane blocked, and this has got the cones out there. Be careful if you're exiting I-215's West Belt at 4700 South in Taylorsville. Also starting to see some traffic traffic filling in and slowing down southbound I-15 at the South Interchange on the way to Midvale. When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cyprus Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cooler weather. What a relief, unless you have old drafty windows. Soon the heat will escape through the cracks and your energy bill is going to go through the roof. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products and get brand new state-of-the-art custom windows and frames at factory direct pricing. The factory is right here in Salt Lake City, where they've been building precision windows since 1986, and you're going to save a lot of money since there's no middleman markup. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows. Even better, call now and they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Double pane argon-filled windows with a low-energy triple coating, any style, any color, and Advanced Windows gives you a lifetime warranty. If you have an issue, they're not 10 states away. They're right here in town, and they offer 0% 60-month financing. So make the call now. Get $2,500 off. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Jump on your brooms and fly to Logan for fantastic fall festivities. It's finally cooling off and we're so glad. Grab your flannel and celebrate harvest season in style, especially October 10th and 11th. Step back in time at the American West Heritage Center for their annual Fall Harvest Festival. See grain threshing with antique machinery, take a pony ride or train ride, and see cider pressing and corn shelling. Or check out the Rock and Gem Show with minerals and rocks and fossils. Oh my! Catch a live performance of the hilarious Broadway hit The Addams Family. Watch it inside the 1923 Ellen Eccles Theater, which really is haunted. Dive into a month full of hocus pocus and hair-raising hauntings on the historic downtown Logan Ghost Tour or at the Haunted River Trail. Traipse through 2 giant corn mazes, visit the North Logan Pumpkin Walk, or check out live theater and music performances and USU football games. Fall in love with fall in Logan. ExploreLogan.com/fall. ExploreLogan.com/fall.
This March, Wendy's is fueling the madness with amazing deals on their hamburgers made with fresh, never frozen beef.
Like a juicy Dave's single for $1 and a fresh $2 Dave's double with in-app offer.
It's such a good deal, we wrote a little ditty about it. Get it for $1. Dave's single, order in the app. Dave's single, get it for $1. Choose wisely, choose Wendy's, official hamburger March Madness.
Limited time offer. Participating U.S. Wendy's. See offer details and redeem at Wendy's app. Account registration required. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Alaska.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth criticizing so-called toxic leaders who he claimed have lowered standards in the department. Speaking before military leaders from around the world yesterday, he outlined his vision for a new direction. Some of the new directives include regular PT tests, changes to grooming standards, and new standards for combat arms positions.
Simply put, if you do not meet the male-level physical standards for combat positions, cannot pass a PT test, or don't want to shave and look professional, it's time for a new position or a new profession. This, and I want to be very clear about this, this is not about preventing women from serving. We very much value the impact of female troops. Our female officers and NCOs are the absolute best in the world. But when it comes to any job that requires physical power to perform in combat, those physical standards must be high and gender neutral. If women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. If that means no women qualify for some combat jobs, so be it.
Let's go more in depth on this combat standard and what the standards have been and what they'll be going forward now. Joining me for that is retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton, Senior National Security Contributor to News Nation. Lieutenant General Newton, thank you for joining me again. Happy to speak with you again this week.
Hey, Maria, it's great to speak with you, and lots to unpack here, and delighted to tee this up for discussion.
Okay, so before we dig into the standards, give me your main takeaways from this massive military meeting yesterday.
Yeah, it was actually 838 general officers and admirals, plus their senior enlisted advisors at Quantico outside of Washington, D.C. Highly unusual, unprecedented. Bottom line for me was Secretary Hegseth, whom I've known for several years, by the way. Again, it was almost as if he was trying to deliver a pep talk or to get back to warrior ethos to a room full of extraordinary general officers and admirals and senior enlisted leaders, by the way, who've known plenty of combat, understand warrior ethos to the T, especially this generation leading today. It really comes out of the post 9/11 environment. So, frankly, I would have perhaps advised Secretary Hegseth to focus on military readiness, changing strategic environment, and so forth. But nonetheless, he did give a very crisp, a very professional speech, one that talks about standards and raising those standards and, frankly, more accountability.
Okay, so let's talk about those standards for a minute. Before the break, we heard from Amy McGrath, a former Marine fighter pilot and a previous candidate for senator in Kentucky, and she said that those combat standards have always been equal. Do you understand it the same way?
Well, I think what Secretary Hegseth was working, by the way, as Secretary Hegseth says, and I'm sure Amy would agree with this, we need to recruit the best and brightest this nation has to offer, whether male or female. And all our men and women in uniform are doing an extraordinary job. They all run to the sound of guns. They've all given their full, full accounting, dying for the United States of America. That's not the issue here. What it is, it really goes back to physical fitness. After years of internal deliberations, over new annual physical fitness test, both the United States Army. I oversaw this in the United States Air Force. It was discovered that, basically women and older troops weren't able to meet the Army standards back then several years or so ago with regard to their fitness tests. And so they've altered their physical fitness test and perhaps the standards for very specific combat, particularly ground combat positions, to adjust or lower the standards for women in order to be able to meet those standards. What Secretary Hegseth is talking about is those gender-specific standards in a very narrow case are going to be, again, equal across the board, either for male or female. If a female can meet those standards, those rigorous standards, then she'll obviously be accepted from a clinical standpoint into those very high-end combat jobs.
Well, obviously, we want our combat military members to meet the highest standards, but do you think this minimizes the role that women have played?
I don't think it does, and I think we're talking about a very small percentage of the population of our 2.1 million men and women in uniform. And so, again, women have really pushed to break new ground since World War II, since my dad served and since I served, and now our son-in-law is serving in Air Force Special Operations Command and so forth. But I think what you're going to find is the most elite physical demanding jobs, such as Army Rangers, perhaps Navy SEALs, and so forth. Those are where you're going to see the mandate for equal physical standards for both men and women. But it is not to shortchange. It's not to stop recruiting. It's certainly not to lean on the high-end capability of women serving just as men serving, as I mentioned, who have also given their ultimate sacrifice to this country.
Let's talk for a minute about the rescission of hazing punishments. What was that all about?
I think what he's referring to is this idea of, in terms of inspector general, in terms of holding people accountable in certain situations that have been under investigation or brought about by investigation by anonymous sources and so forth. That's going to be relooked at. And I think that's a positive move, frankly. If someone wants to bring about an alleged complaint to get somebody out, not to do it anonymously, they ought to be, in terms of up their chain of command or through their chain of command to report somebody and so forth. But hazing is not tolerated in the military. But I think what also Secretary Hegseth was trying to refer to was very strenuous basic training in all the services that I went through at the Air Force Academy, or perhaps going through at Army, certainly through the Marines and so forth. There's a way that they can be just as strenuous to make sure that our men and women who all volunteer to join the services have the most rigorous, stressful, basic training so that they end up being the best soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, space guardians, and so forth.
Yeah, but it goes back to what you said. They're not actually saying that hazing is acceptable.
No, that's not it at all. It's really more so a more strenuous back to basics in terms of relooking at basic military training in all the services. And frankly, I support that. What I would not support, and I don't think at all Secretary Hegseth is even suggesting this, is that you go back and haze and actually put people's lives on the line. You know, we think of hazing in fraternities and that type of thing. This is not what we're talking about here. This is the most strenuous basic military training. So our men and women, our warriors, are fit to fight and ready to fight, and frankly, best prepared to fight and win our nation's wars.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you, Maria. Look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you. That is retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton, who is a senior national security contributor to News Nation. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Day one of the federal government shutdown, we have reaction and more on how it's impacting Utahns. Using 3 words to find folks lost in the wilderness, and they are not bad words. More on that in a few minutes. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
Slowdowns already. Southbound I-15, Murray and Midvale. Maria?
Looks like we're going to have to get ready for a big change in the temperatures. We are enjoying 70s right now, even 80 tomorrow, but we are dropping into the 60s by the weekend. Right now, 71 downtown. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute. But first, ABC News. It's 2:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The federal government shutdown will not be fixed in a day or even 2. Lawmakers won't take up another stopgap measure until at least Friday due to Yom Kippur holiday tomorrow. ABC's Alex Perche is in D.C.
We're already seeing about 750,000 furloughed workers. That's according to the Congressional Budget Office. And we've got tens of thousands of essential workers who are working, being forced to work without a paycheck. Those are TSA officers, air traffic controllers, also members of the military, ICE agents as well. But going forward, the longer this shutdown plays out, the more of a concern it is.
On a conference call with House Republicans today, the OMB director warning a reduction in force or layoffs targeting furloughed federal employees could begin in the coming days. Payroll processor ADP showing the economy lost 32,000 jobs last month, opposite of what analysts projected to add jobs. On Wall Street, stocks ended up, investors shrugging off the shutdown. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. Leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints honored the life of the late President Russell M. Nelson in a special broadcast today.
Members of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, the presiding bishopric, and other church leaders recounted President Nelson's teachings and some of their favorite memories of him. Primary General President Susan H. Porter spoke about when she and her husband met President Nelson for the first time 30 years ago.
We were nervous, but he greeted us with quiet dignity and was kind and unhurried.
Presiding Bishop of the church, Gerald Cossé, worked closely with President Nelson as part of his calling in the church.
He listened to everyone intently, his eyes filled with kindness and giving his complete attention to every word.
President Dallin H. Oaks, president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, says he thinks of President Nelson as a prophet of love. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
A scare on Utah State University's campus yesterday has turned out to be a wildlife collar rather than anything dangerous or explosive. USU police evacuated Old Main because of the device while they investigated it. Campus authorities say it was a collar used to track the location of wildlife that an employee had used to teach students about telemetry work. They detonated the collar to be safe and issued the all clear. Other local stories KSL is following. Someone has cut down the flag on Black Rock at the edge of the Great Salt Lake. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff has the story.
The flagpole displaying an American flag showed up atop Black Rock the weekend after the Charlie Kirk shooting. Utah Department of Natural Resources says the pole was not permitted and they were trying to decide what to do with it. Now a spokesperson for the DNR says the pole has been cut near the base, dropping the pole to the ground, and the flag is missing. Statement says vandalism is never an acceptable response. One act of vandalism does not justify another. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment at the close, the Dow up by 43 points, sitting at 46,441. S&P up by 22 points, and the NASDAQ up by 95 points. Traffic and weather brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We had a couple of vehicles over to the shoulder, southbound I-15 near 7200 South. They have pulled away. Not sure if it was a crash, but we're back to still seeing delays southbound I-15 between 53rd South almost to 90th South in Sandy. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, if there is such a thing as fall fever, I have it. Such a beautiful day. A high today of 78 degrees up to 81 tomorrow. Then a big dip in the temperatures come the weekend down into the 60s and a good chance of showers on Saturday. Right now, 73 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Air traffic controllers, military, and park rangers all working today with no pay. Federal government shutting down for the first time in more than 6 years. Today, the Senate once again failing to get the necessary votes to fund the government. Republicans and Democrats are at odds over health care funding, and Democrats want to negotiate on extending Affordable Care Act subsidies and reversing Medicaid cuts. Republicans have been firm against doing this, and both sides are blaming one another on the shutdown. Vice President J.D. Vance speaking at the White House briefing today, saying the Democrats' plan would give health care to people in the country illegally.
Despite the fact that the overwhelming majority of congressional Republicans and even a few moderate Democrats supported opening the government, the Chuck Schumer AOC wing of the Democratic Party shut down the government because they said to us, we will open the government, but only if you give billions of dollars of funding for health care for illegal aliens.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer speaking on the floor of the Senate, saying Democrats are not trying to give illegal immigrants access to Medicare or Medicaid. He says that's against the law.
Not $1 of Medicare, Medicaid, or ACA is allowed to go to undocumented immigrants, not $1. So why do they keep saying this? This seems to be their theme, because they're afraid to talk about the real issue. It's typical Republican response.
Congressman Mike Kennedy, the Republican who represents Utah's 3rd congressional district, says there's no good reason for Democrats to not support the continuing resolution that passed in the House.
Well, I think all of us should not want to shut down the government. The American people expect us to do our job. And who wants to do what with this shutdown? I think both sides have and can use this as a weapon. I think it's entirely inappropriate. The American people expect it better from us, and they should. So when it comes to this, that's why we passed, as Congresswoman Malloy appropriately stated, we passed a clean continuing resolution. There were no deep policies in this. There's no poison pills. There's no discussion of complicated issues. It's just let's keep funding of the current levels of government for the next 45 days so that we can actually have these negotiations where they should be had. And that's in Congress and committees and having the policy debates there.
He says this hasn't been a quick process. They've been trying to work on this for several months now. But he says he's proud of what Republicans have been able to do during that time as they work towards a balanced budget.
This point in time was started back in March when we sent a continuing resolution back at that point for a 6-month funding process. And actually what we're asking for, and this is where I'm really proud of the Republicans' efforts on this, is more time to do the regular order budgeting that we should do and that the American people expect us to do. We've actually passed out of appropriations on the House side, 12 out of 12 appropriations bills. And off the floor, we've passed 3 out of those 12. And we want regular order budget. Regular order budgets allow certainty for the American public and as well as those that contract with our federal government. And in this case, we're well on our way. So if we have 45 more days, we'll continue to work on regular order budget and have these debates as to healthcare issues that the Democrats want to engage in. What's interesting, Maria, is that I was there when 12 days ago we passed this continuing resolution. There was no conversation whatsoever about any sort of healthcare debates. We signed off on this continuing resolution with a Democrat on the House side, signed off on it as well, sent it over to the Senate, and all of a sudden these complicated, very expensive propositions come out of the Democrats. And they're holding the American people hostage with the government shutdown as a result of these complicated debates associated with the continuing resolution.
KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera will have more on Representative Kennedy's remarks coming up on Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News beginning at 3. With the federal government now shut down, all non-essential employees have been furloughed. That can affect the stability of federal agencies and programs and has many worried about their federal benefits. One popular benefit for Utahns is WIC, the federal program helping women, infant, and children. Jodelle Geilman is the vendor manager for the Utah WIC, and she tells KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla.
Don't panic for now. No, business as usual in grocery stores. In fact, we've seen thousands of transactions go through already today. And this is kind of an aside, but we actually implemented a new food rule effective today, where we made significant changes to the food packages that WIC families receive. And all of that is functioning as expected at the grocery stores, and participants can continue to shop as they usually do.
She says benefits will continue for the time being, thanks to largely in part to a statewide collaborative process.
We understand that this is an uncertain and certainly frustrating time for Utahns who are worried about providing healthy food for their families. WIC currently serves over 49,000 Utah moms and their infants and children and they're all potentially impacted by the federal government shutdown. However, as of today, WIC operations and shopping have not been disrupted by the shutdown for the foreseeable future. We're working closely with all of our stakeholders, with the Department of Health and Human Services, with state finance, with USDA to secure funding to allow WIC participants to redeem benefits as long as possible and hopefully indefinitely, should the shutdown linger on for a long time.
She does caution, however, that WIC and SNAP funding vary state by state. So while things are going to continue working as normal here in Utah, it might not be that way in all states. And depending on how long the shutdown lasts, we could see troubles in the future with benefits here in Utah. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
J&J Garden Center is your fall headquarters. Now through November 1st, save 20% on perennials, shrubs, containerized trees, soils, fountains, and more. You'll also find clearance trees up to 50% off. Fall is the perfect time to plant pansies, mums, and fall bulbs. Don't forget pumpkins, gourds, strawbills, and corn stalks. Plus, explore our gift shop for cozy fall decor and seasonal finds. Hurry and visit us in Layton today, and let's get your garden fall ready. J&J Garden Center, where fall begins.
If you are facing divorce, call Cordell & Cordell today.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. CordellCordell.com.
Emergency responders are hoping more people take advantage of an app that helps them locate people who need help quickly. KSL 5 TV's Deanie Wimmer has more on the What 3 Words Locator app.
3 meter by 3 meter squares, 10 feet by 10 feet. In a 5 block by 5 block area of Salt Lake, that would mean 112,400 squares. In all of Weber County, that would mean 189 million squares. And Utah's 1,300 square miles of national parks would have 377 million squares. Globally, land and water, 57 trillion 3 meter by 3 meter squares. And on this square outside Temple Square, there are 3 words to find it.
Expert, bench, groups.
These days, if you go for a bike ride or a hike, you might see a QR code like this one featured at Draper City, Sandy, and other trails.
Specifically here in Corner Canyon, there's hundreds. And with this app, it simplifies it, right?
Respectable Panics. The app is called What 3 Words, and it's kind of just like it sounds.
Scrolling, clean, fortunate.
Granny, months, receptions. Captain Kevin Wilkie of Draper Fire.
The name of the game for us is speed. You just give us those 3 words and we can know exactly where you're at. Cornfields, ranches, patrol.
We didn't know exactly where I was.
Not knowing exactly where Adam Stewart was slowed the rescue.
So we called 911 and they asked what our 3 words were.
Adam crashed on a training run in sprawling Butterfield Canyon near Harriman.
And went over the bars and slammed into the dirt, shattering my collarbone.
Dispatch only knew his general location, and without specific GPS coordinates or the 3 words, locating him took time.
Our team actually sent out a message after that encouraging everyone to download it.
Coach warmed nest.
Draper City considers the app one of its critical location tools. GPS coordinates serve the same technical function as What 3 Words, without the word flair, and some say the simplicity.
While most search and rescue's gung-ho about the app, some backcountry enthusiasts might use the 3 words, not so fast.
They point out that since What 3 Words runs off a cell signal, in remote areas it will not track or do what a satellite phone can do.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a couple grand to burn on a sat phone, that's great, right? But the majority is most people, they just want to get out in the mountains.
3 weeks ago in Eagle Mountain,
having a seizure. There's foam coming out of her mouth and blood.
Okay.
Adam's 8th grade teammate from Lehigh, Kenzie Hansen, was racing down a steep trail when she lost control.
So I decided to go really hard, and well, you can tell how that went.
Came down, crashed head first.
All right, sir, do you know what road would be best to get to her?
Her mother, Leslie, was riding right behind her.
She was seizing and having endless seizures.
I do have a What 3 Words location. I'm showing flute, buzz, and proclaims. Is that what you're showing?
We have reapply, approach, and interfaces.
The 2 unique combinations were separated by just 1 square, helping dispatch figure out exactly where Kenzie was.
By medical terms, I had a brain bleed, so I had to get 3 staples there. I have a concussion.
Help arrived in about 20 minutes.
The second you know that dispatch knows where you are and they're coming as a parent, you're like, help will be here soon.
Loved laundry bystanders.
That is KSL 5 TV's Deanie Wimmer there. She says the city of Draper doesn't take a fee for the use or promotion of the app. Some users that she spoke with say what 3 words has also been useful for finding things like cemetery plots or remote cabins or campsites. If you've been seeing more spiders make their way into your house, you might be tempted to burn everything down, but don't set the spark just yet. More on how you can more appropriately deal with the creepy crawlies after the break. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape, Ricky.
We still have a right lane blocked to traffic in Summit County due to an earlier vehicle fire from this morning eastbound I-80 in Wanship. This is near SR 32. That road takes you over to Rockport. If you're traveling through that stretch, traffic getting by easily on the left. Titanic, the exhibition, opens October 17th at the Shops at Southtown. Step aboard to experience full-scale recreations, see artifacts, and hear real passenger stories. Don't miss it. Book passage today at titanicexhibition.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cooler weather. What a relief, unless you have old drafty windows. Soon the heat will escape through the cracks and your energy bill's going to go through the roof. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products and get brand new state-of-the-art custom windows and frames at factory direct pricing. The factory is right here in Salt Lake City, where they've been building precision windows since 1986, and you're going to save a lot of money since there's no middleman markup. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows. Even better, call now and they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Double pane argon-filled windows with a low-energy triple coating, any style, any color, and Advanced Windows gives you a lifetime warranty. If you have an issue, they're not 10 states away. They're right here in town, and they offer 0% 60-month financing. So make the call now. Get $2,500 off. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Join KSL News Radio and Jeff Kaplan live at the new Applebee's in Orem this Friday from 3 to 6:30. Enter to win rivalry game tickets and dinner for 2.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code POWER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Nutty Petty Cave is again open for exploration if you have a VR set. The cave is well known for the tragic accident 16 years ago where a caver died after getting stuck in the cave for 27 hours. The cave was then permanently sealed off for safety concerns. MetaQuest developers 3R created the virtual map as a way for people to respectfully explore the cave. They consulted with Brandon Kowalis, who was part of the rescue attempt and has mapped the entire cave himself. He spoke with KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis about what they got right and what they got wrong.
So the one thing that I did mention to Piotr when, because he sent me a copy, we have an Oculus, and so he sent me a copy of the game to go through it, and overall it was good. My only concern was like on the initial parts before Nutty Putty. Some of the activities they have in there are kind of destructive to a cave environment. Like it's got breaking formations, writing notes on the wall so you can kind of figure out which way's in and out of the cave, and collecting fossils. And I said it would be really good if you could put some kind of a disclaimer on there that says this is a game that and that in reality, when you're exploring cavers live by the motto, take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but carefully placed footprints, and kill nothing but time. Just to emphasize that, made a couple of suggestions for how they could still have some of those gamified elements, but maybe focus around conservation. And they're kind of torn between, it's like, yeah, we do want to be respectful, but at the same time, it needs to be a fun, engaging game where they're in these virgin caves and exploring for the first time kind of thing. So I think they're working on trying to find a good compromise to help people understand that this is not normal behavior in a real cave. Right now, it's just kind of a game. So
3R CEO Peter Surmatch talked about what inspired this idea for a VR map.
And I've learned about the whole story. I then tracked everything I could about the story because I just couldn't stop thinking about it, to be honest. It was really damaging emotionally to think what John Edward Jones have been through, what his family have been through, what the rescuers have been through when everybody was there. I've read it was over 100 people overall trying and thinking how to help him. And I think it's only natural you're starting to think how, what would I do if I were in such a situation? So part of it, part of the process and part of the decision behind making the game was, of course, my inspiration.
They say the map is meant to be an educational exploration. As you crawl, climb, and crouch your way through, there's audio sharing facts and history about the cave. As the temperatures turn cooler, millions of birds have already begun their annual migration to warmer climates. But it's not just birds that are seeking warmth. Spiders are also looking for warmer homes. In case you didn't already know, fall is spider migration time. It's enough to make your skin crawl during the creepy season. And one venomous spider is showing up in northern Utah more than usual, the infamous black widow. Peak Pest Control Service Manager Kimball Pace tells KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson the spider migration has definitely begun, but don't worry, it's not quite time to burn your house down.
As soon as it starts to cool off a little bit, we tend to see more spider activity in general, so not just the black widows. It can be, any type of spider, black widows, wolf spiders, hobo spiders. I was actually at my parents' house in Centerville up towards the bench near the mountains, and we found a tarantula that's probably 5 inches in diameter with its legs spread out. So super huge spider. So I don't know if there's something going on special this year, but typically in the fall time, it's like a spider migration season. So the spiders, they kind of have instincts. They know that it's going to be winter time soon. So they're looking for food, and they're looking for a good place to make a nest so that it can stay there potentially over the winter. And when they do that, they move around quite a bit. So it's not necessarily that there's more spiders, it's just that they're moving around more, so people are seeing them more. And they're also going to be eating a lot of food lately, so they're probably going to be extra big. A lot of times in the springtime, there could be hatchings of spiders where there will be a lot of small spiders and people don't really see them as much, but throughout the spring and summer, they're eating and they're getting bigger and bigger. So by the time it's fall, they're moving around, people are seeing them, and they're pretty big and pretty spooky too. The black widow is really the only poisonous spider that we have in Utah that would actually be like a threat, like, something that you do not want to get bit by. And, that's something that definitely spooks people and causes people to give us a call.
An American Fork man is currently recovering after being bitten by a black widow that had made a nest in his shoe. His daughter, Cambry Vaughn, says she didn't realize how bad they could be.
I've always been nervous of black widows, but after my dad's experience, I'm like, oh, now I'm terrified of them. He said that it was the worst pain he's ever been in.
Pace says they are definitely getting more calls this year about spiders, and he says there are some things that homeowners can do to prevent problems around their homes.
One thing that's huge with the fall time, we haven't had too many leaves falling yet, but it's pretty crucial to make sure that your yard is cleaned up, especially in your window wells and around the foundation of your home, making sure leaves, sticks, twigs needs to be cleaned up. It will help a ton in creating an environment that's not conducive to where spiders enjoy it. With all those leaves and moisture and stuff there, the spiders just love it. So making sure their doors, windows, any entry points to their home have been sealed up well. And then on top of that, if you have a pest control company or if they want to spray themselves, just using insecticides to treat around the base of the home, potentially inside the home, in the basements, and in and around people's sheds and around people's yards too, would definitely help with the activity.
Black widow bites are painful but rarely fatal, but they can be more serious in small children and the elderly. Jeff Kaplan is here. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News is next. Have a great afternoon.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.